week's on the radio. Shut up. It's Gaming Focused Audio.
Welcome to the Big Week in Gaming podcast. And it has been a big week in gaming. I'm integot for episode 32 on Sunday, the 21st of February, 2021. As always, I'm joined by the official Xbox Hall of Famer, number one challenger to the throne of the greatest Xbox RPG player in the world, Swinny.
Hello.
And Mike, the arrogant, the ignorant, I'm not going to read what he changed in the run sheet, the smug, but we love him for it, Mike.
Hi.
I wish I could show what you wrote, actually.
No, we're trying to keep this clean.
In this week's show, we'll be discussing all the huge news from the massive Nintendo Direct, the highlights from BlizzCon, which I think is just wrapped up or wrapping up right now as we record, and Xbox game streaming finally hitting iOS and web browsers. And now I'm going to do an instant correction here on Swinny. He keeps on writing iOS in all capitals. It's small I, O-S, Swinny.
Yeah, that's what I do best.
Second correction. I am going to correct so many podcasts are doing this, and it bugs me. And especially Australian podcasts for some reason. We're not going to cover it in this show, but there's news around Last of Us and the casting of the characters from Last of Us. And everyone's saying, what are they saying? It's HBO? It's HBO.
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 H.
H is not a letter.
HBO.
H is a letter. H is not a letter. So I'm just putting a correction out there.
Okay. Hey, hang on.
Wait,
Can
you're correcting other podcasts now?
Yes, because
He's
it's
correcting everyone.
Dude, people do not know the English language. They're not saying...
Apparently, I'm the smug one.
And I think... Yeah, I know. This is really endearing me. Apparently, Australia is really bad with not knowing that it's the letter H, not H. And finally... Before we alienate
Are you gonna correct? Wait. First of all, before you alienate the whole audience, can you say Sudoku?
No, Sudoku.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. And then finally, I just wanted to let everyone know it'll be reflected in the episode. But if you've been listening to the show for a while, we are changing our policy due to Mike. Let's be real, on explicit language, swear words in the podcast. We are going to allow them. A subset of them,
Yes.
not some of the other words, but and not insane amount. But just so you know, we're not going to talk about it again. But if you are listening with kids, you got to sort of understand that and use your discretion.
Yep. But now I'm not going to swear because now I'm allowed to swear, so I'm not going to swear.
Probably.
It's the old Homer Simpson chain up the trampoline thing,
So Swinny, it's been a big week in gaming. How's your week been?
Look, yeah, it has for once been a huge week.
No, not for once. It's a big week every week.
This week, it's huge week in gaming. It's not just a big week; it's a huge week. So much so that we don't even have a special feature this week because we're like, there's just too much to cover. We don't want to be here for 4 hours.
Which is crazy, right? Because all 31 episodes prior, we had a special feature on something.
I know. Part of me is like, I just don't want to break that streak, but some of those features we can go on for like half an hour, so we're just like, man.
It'll be show trivia. It would be show trivia in the future.
Yeah. So, but in terms of this week, look, I've been playing quite a few games, as surprise, that never happens each week. I was playing Monochrome Order, a game that I started about a year and a half ago and finally picked up and completed, and that means that I've now completed every Chemco RPG on the Xbox platform.
How do you feel?
So I feel like
relieved.
I feel like a complete man now.
Nice.
I was going to say, I feel like an effing legend or something like that. I swear, I felt it that you were about to say something like that.
Check out the big kahunas on this guy.
No, it's... I don't know. Should I give an acceptance speech or something for being completed? I think it was all 29. I think it is 29 Kimco games.
That's good. You got to do a tier list.
Well,
God.
yeah, it's the only thing. As soon as it hits the 4th of March, another one comes out. So no.
No, but you should do it as a rolling feature. You like updating the tier list. It'd be funny.
Oh man, the Chemco tier list would be awesome because it just had the biggest trash tier of any tier list
How
ever.
many trash tiers would you have?
I'd probably put a
25.
Good, I probably could have put a good 12 or 13 in trash tier.
Wow.
Easy.
Well, you need
That sounds
levels
like
of trash. You need more
time
than
well
one
spent.
trash tier.
There's a trash S tier, trash 8.
Trash plus.
I've also
trash tier.
I've also been playing the other games. I've been playing a game called Age of Mages: The Last Keeper.
That's a
Which is
terrible
like-
name, by the way.
It is a terrible
Is he like
name.
a magical soccer player or something? What is he?
Age,
Last Keeper.
The Last Keeper. I don't know. Like it's like a little twin stick action RPG, and
Oh, they can be fun though.
honestly, it's not bad. But
Yeah.
I was looking up information about this game, and there's always this worry whenever you can't find an official or like an actual Wikipedia
Oh, yeah,
page
yeah.
for a game. You're like, what kind of game this is? And I play a lot of obscure games, not like your itch.io kind of level of obscure, but indie games that have just been, put on, self-published on Xbox and stuff like that. And yeah, there's not much information out about this, but it's got this super annoying part, and I'm stuck at the moment, where you come up to a boss, and it's a twin stick shooter basically. So you move around with the left stick and you aim and shoot with the right stick. And the boss has got like about 7 enemies around him, and as soon as it starts, after a few seconds, he flips the whole screen and all your controls are reversed.
Wow.
Which
Sick.
everyone's like, okay, reverse controls, that's common in a lot of games. It's a twin stick shooter, so you have to reverse both sticks.
That's cool though.
So like
it's-
everything's reversed, like
Yeah, it
direction
throws-
and aim.
Exactly, and it throws you off. And then after about 10 seconds, he flips it again, and he keeps flipping back and forth. And it's a twin stick shooter trying to oh man, I just can't do it. And you die in about 4 hits if you get cornered.
Swinny,
so-
could you like just pause the game and then flip
Yeah.
your controller upside down?
I don't know, I'll try it.
Could you go to the menu and invert the controls?
You'd be doing that every 10 seconds.
What an insult to the audience.
Yeah.
Just invert your
also-
controls. It's like a boss difficulty.
I also started a game called Vambrace Cold Soul, predominantly because it's on the list for leaving Game Pass at the end of the month. But it's a game I've been interested in for a while. It's very much a Darkest Dungeon style game. Like if you compare screenshots in them both, it looks like it's almost a rip-off in many ways. But it seems pretty cool. It's got a really cool art style. And the last game I've put quite a bit of time in this week is Assassin's Creed 3. So I feel like I'm constantly fighting against that game's systems. Like, I want to love that game, and it's just like, no, there's this part of the game must annoy you. You must forever be annoyed by this so you can't enjoy the game.
Wow, sounds like most of my relationships.
And they have so many menus. So you can change between different weapons, different abilities, and different tools. And they've each got their own separate wheel to select them from. And then you've got another quick menu. So just jump into this game. As someone who's played every one of them, you shouldn't be confused by how to control or select stuff in Assassin's Creed game if you've played every single one of them. Like, there's a reason why this was low on my tier list.
Sounds like you had a huge week of frustration this week more than anything else.
Yeah, like Monochrome Order was good fun to complete. That's a nice little RPG. But yeah, Assassin's Creed 3, I mean, the reason why I'm playing it is because I'm playing the remastered version towards my New Year's resolution. So talking about New Year's resolution, how are you going with that, Mike?
Pretty good, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Contrary to what you guys think, I think I'm going pretty well. I haven't.
In fairness, it's more how I think about it than
It's how you think about it. That's right. Swinny's been backing me up. So, in case anyone's wondering, I've been given shit about the fact that I bought the Xbox Series X and the Switch, even though
and
my
games.
No games with those. I traded games and I got rid of
Soul
games
Calibur.
to get them. No, that was like 3 weeks ago or something.
LA Noire, didn't you get?
Hang on, we have to play that. But you were giving me shit about the two consoles, even though the consoles, first of all, were not games. My New Year's resolutions were specifically around playing games, not consoles. So I could get as many consoles as I want, technically. But they were both upgrades. So net gain 0. I still just have a better version of a console I had before.
This is like a technicality, like an alcoholic who's like, just drinking beers all the time, and then he says to his missus, I'll get off the beers. I'm sorry, love," and then starts drinking wine every night. Like buying a Xbox Series X and a Switch when you already have 2 other Switches as a single person.
No, but I got rid of the Switch. I didn't buy them
but you
on
already
top
had
of.
it. You already had it, right?
Yeah, but the
You
battery
literally
was
already
starting
have
to
2
screw
Switches.
up. Yeah, but the battery was screwing up.
But that is not consistent with the idea of trying to like go, hey,
it's
I need
extremely
to buy
consistent.
less. I need to buy less.
It's consistent if I trade something for something else. Like, say I had a really, I don't know, rundown broken car that was costing me a lot of money to fix, and I traded in for a newer car. That's still fine. That's acceptable. That's all right.
So this is a really big week, right? So I'm not even going to spend much time in my little intro bit, but are you up for next week rewriting your goals? Keeping them to be the same goals, but just making them clearer. Like what the rules are.
No, I'm not doing your stupid smart goals. This isn't a second job. I'm not. I refuse to do a job away from my job.
I was waiting for it.
Look,
I know what you're trying to do with this. I'm not doing it.
All right. Well, we'll have to go to an audience vote. We'll have to like tally all the things you've done this year and all the things you've bought, and then say, is this Mike buying less games and playing less games?
I'm still adamant that the fact that he got rid of games as part of the trading means he has less objects.
15 games or something in total.
It's buy less games. It's not sell more games.
But I haven't bought any.
It's not like own less games overall.
I'll talk about it in a sec because I did buy 2 games, and I'll talk about them in a sec. But hang on. Well, I didn't say I'm not going to buy any games. I'm just buying less games.
It's going to be difficult because anytime Mike says he's bought a game every week,
I know I'm going to cop shit for it. But again, I should. If you want the SMART goals put in there, it's all relative because prior to this, I probably would have been buying. I'm totally guesstimating here, but it would have been at least 10 games a month, at least.
Sure.
I reckon probably on average would have been way more than 10 games, but let's just put it down to 10. Whereas now, it's probably like maybe 2 games a month.
Yeah, but that make that the
maybe
goal.
that.
I will not buy more than 2 games a month.
No, but the goal is less.
That's why it's a bad.
I don't want to limit it to
goal.
2 because then like there's a really good deal or something, and I'm like, oh man, I really want to play that game, but it's my 3rd game.
So, Mike, not to put you too much on the spot, but how many have you bought this year so far, off the top of your head?
Oh, this year so far, maybe
can't recall so many.
5.
Okay,
maybe.
So you're not traveling too well, but you're getting closer. You're getting closer.
Well, 5 is way better. I mean, it's nearly 2 months gone.
5 is a lot of games.
That's a quarter of what I said I would normally buy. So it's a stark reduction, I'd like to think.
I will say that what you normally buy would have been really helpful for the goal.
I should have done that,
itself.
yeah.
But that's what I'm saying with the goal. You're gonna make it really specific.
I don't want to.
So you are agreeing with me deep down.
So I'm agreeing that it would have made it easier to quantify that.
Yes, which is the point of a goal.
But this is gaming, not work. I'm not trying to make this into a work thing again. So what I have been playing, though, predominantly, are 2 games that I've had for a while. So I didn't buy new games and play new games. So I had another crack at Demon Souls, this time going for more of a melee build. And it's really fascinating. Either I'm just more used to the game or because I was playing Dark Souls a bunch of times, I got to where I was with my previous character, and I'm guesstimating about 1/5 of the time. So I don't know if it's necessarily because it's easier with a melee build in that game, maybe, or whatever the case may be. But I thought that was pretty cool, like way quicker to get through that. And I have been playing. Actually, speaking of which, I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, but I am in an area that, let's just say, it makes Blighttown look like a freaking Zen garden. This area is so crap and annoying and bleak and dark and ugh. It almost made me want to put the game away. I totally forgot that area actually existed from the original game.
It's almost like it's defiling you.
Almost.
I didn't realize that you played the original game.
Yeah, I played the original game, yeah. I played it after I played Dark Souls. I think it was Dark Souls, Demon Souls. I had it when around the time it came out or something, and I kind of started it and I'm like, oh man, this game's hard, and I was playing some other games, and then I went back into it after I had played Dark Souls, and I was like, man, this game's amazing, so good.
Yeah, it's a pretty shocking game at the time it came out, because it might have been the period of time where games were the easiest. You know, everything was sort of continue
Probably,
on
actually, yeah.
and like not very challenging and things like that. It was a big criticism that I had of gaming at the time. But that game is like, yeah, massive outlier. It was a reaction almost to that.
Huge outlier. I mean, look, the game is a heck of a lot easier now. I only died maybe like 3 or 4 times so far in the game.
Really? Jeez.
Properly.
Okay.
Maybe 5 in total, like properly, if I think about it. But I had to kill myself so many times because of that annoying mechanic where if you kill a boss, you get humanity. Every time you're in human form, you basically get your humanity back. Yeah, if you die while you're in human form, it screws with your world tendency, and then you can't get pure white for certain events.
Yeah.
So you have to go back to the Nexus, kill yourself, get back to non-human form, soul form, and then go do it again. And that's, I feel like it's one mechanic that I see what they were trying to do with it, but thankfully they changed it in future games like Dark Souls.
Yeah, well, they never did it again in any.
They never did it again. It just didn't really work. It was a cool sort of concept, but I think they could have kept the concept somehow and just done something else with it. Anyway,
well, you also have to trigger the total darkness and total white, or total black and total white to get certain events.
Exactly, yeah. So you have to get all the way to the max to get them. There's not even
crazy.
anything in between, which is really annoying. Yeah. And it's also annoying because you have to go revisit it. I mean, it's not too bad just to check it out, but you got to go revisit an area because that event could be very early on in that particular land, and you have to basically go back after you finish the entire full area to trigger some of those events. Anyway, the other thing I've been playing, which is a stark contrast, is Mario Odyssey. And that's been super cool. Really been digging it. Again, I had the game for ages, just never got into it.
Is that after the Bowser's Fury thing that I mentioned?
Yeah, it was after the whole, I should get more into playing some of those Nintendo games. I know they're great games and everything. I just always kind of put them in my backlog and never get around to it.
I did give you some crap, the fact that we came up with our nominees for Game of Some Other Year 2011. That includes a Mario game that you have not played, and you start a completely separate Mario.
Which one?
What Mario game is in our Game of Some Other Year nominees?
One. Yeah, because I don't have a copy of that yet. I need to find a copy of that.
It's gonna be hard to find a copy of that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'll figure it out.
We'll advise.
Because speaking of, actually, first of all, I was just going to quickly mention, besides you, Integot, and anyone who's now going to watch this on YouTube, I did get a bit of a haircut, as you guys can see. My long Dave Grohl frock's gone.
You kind of look like Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber in that
I
angle.
do actually look like it because it's going straight down. I just need I should put I don't have anything to cover my tooth up.
You literally looked like Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber there for a second. Because it just looked like such a flat cut.
See, you still look like Dave Grohl, but you look like closer to like Monkey Wrench Dave Grohl.
Yeah, or like Learn to Fly when he was in that. Yeah, something like that. No, I was just minding my own business. I was sitting there doing my assignment on my computer when all of a sudden I hear the Jaws theme playing. Are we allowed to sing the Jaws theme,
fine.
or are we going to get some sort of a Run DMC?
We're not.
Notice from
Run DMCA.
From Universal Pictures.
I'm writing that one down.
No, we're not on Twitch. We're not on Twitch. So.
All right, good.
Because you heard with Twitch that they changed the music for Metallica, even though it was like they were able to use it. And they put 8-bit music over the top of Metallica on Twitch.
Was it 8-bit music? I didn't actually hear what it was. I saw the article.
It's crazy what they did. It's a total mess at Twitch at the moment with music. All right, Mike, let's get on with it. Mike is trying to even get closer to Lloyd Christmas at the moment in the video feed.
Yeah, so I reckon that's kind of it. Oh, and I did buy L.A. Noire, of course. Just as a warning, I think this is important. It's a warning for anyone who ends up buying this game that they haven't already. When integot said that the game runs at 30 FPS, even the remastered version, I had foolishly assumed it was just on consoles.
I would have
that
said
was the
consoles,
case.
right?
Well, I know it's not necessarily implied, but there's very, very few games that I can think of that are locked to 30 on PC. In fact, I can't think of any other game right now. I know
Dark
they
Souls
probably
1.
exist.
Yeah, Dark Souls 1.
Oh yeah, if you had the Dark Souls one, but not,
Prepare to
but yeah,
die.
but not the remastered, right? The remastered
No.
version 60. And I thought, hey, this is remastered. They probably did 60. Nope. Even on a 2070, you're stuck with 30, and it looks like garbage on PC for some reason.
Well, I
ended
think
up
it's
getting
jarring.
it on.
I think it's jarring.
It's
on PC.
extremely jarring,
Yeah.
but it's doubly jarring. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's to do with my 120 hertz refresh rate on the monitor, and something's out of sync with the 30. I don't know what it is. Doesn't matter. But I ended up getting it on PlayStation 4. I only sort of put it in, tried the first case, heaps better on PS4. It's still, jarring compared to 60, but it's way more than playable. It's really good. So I'll probably end up playing it on that.
Yeah, for me, I picked up LA Noire. I was playing it on PS3 actually, and then I was able to get a really good deal to pick it up on Switch. And I know that Swinny would disagree, but I think it's the best platform for it, just because it kind of does run like trash anyway. And honestly, I barely can tell the difference between the PS3 version and the Switch version. They really do seem like the same version if I was to be tested. And I know this is sacrilegious to say this, but I much prefer the setting of LA Noire as a Rockstar game than the GTA games. For me, and I don't want to get into this discussion, but we will one day.
Yeah,
the GTA games, I just do not like the humor. I find it's like so. It's just lame to me. It's like mainstream ironic humor. It's just
You would probably like the Mafia games then.
Yeah, I think so. Or like Bully and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh well, Bully's very Rockstar humor. So
yeah, but at least it's like in a more fantasy,
fantasy,
like
kinda.
you know what I mean. It's got that kind of element where it's like it's literally like taking the piss. Totally.
Bully's such a weird game. It's cool, but it's so weird. Like you can tell it was like a previous generation game
of its time as well. Imagine if it released today, that'd be awesome.
But it's hard for something like GTA that is meant to be set in a real world context, but still be really, really fun to play, to find that balance for some people. You know what I mean? Because it's meant to be a realistic kind of game, but realistic games would probably be really freaking boring.
Look, it's just a tone thing, and it's just a personality, or like like a lot of people like Big Bang Theory, right? Like that's super popular. That
you don't like it?
No, I hate it with a passion.
Yeah, same.
Right, so like,
it's weird. I don't know.
A lot of people like that stuff, and I kind of like put it in the same.
Hey, we just lost another subscriber.
I don't care. And then I just, as you were chatting about Mario Odyssey, so I actually didn't know this. I heard this from someone else, that if you go back into Bowser's Fury, if you've 100%ed it, there's a bit of an Easter egg in it. So just anyone who's beaten it, and then just because I beat it, and then I'm like, okay, cool, I'm done with that. I started playing a bit of 3D World, which is such an awesome game, by the way. But yeah, and then I heard this, went back to Bowser's Fury, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty cute. Like that's pretty nifty what they've done in it. So I don't want to ruin it, obviously, or spoil it, but check it out if you've 100%ed it. And then finally, and I wish I had more time, but this is just such a busy episode. I was able to play for quite a long time the Oculus Quest 2.
Nice.
And
where did you end up getting it from again?
I didn't. No, dude, I'll never buy that thing ever.
Where'd you get your hands on it?
So my wife's dad, it's funny, right. He's like a kid at heart. He has drones and everything.
Nice.
He's like a literal kid at heart. He's like, oh, look at this VR thing. I'm like, yeah, it's a Quest 2. They're gonna steal all your Facebook details. He's like, I don't care. And then he buys it. And I have to say, it's so freaking cool. Like I was like, wow, this thing is so cool. But I did offend one of my good mates outside of this chat, who he's the most into VR out of anyone I know. And I'm like, the way that I would say it is, to me, I had the same feeling as when I first played the Wii, where it's like, wow, this is crazy. This is like such a weird, different thing. Like you're doing bowling and all that kind of stuff. But I kind of wonder if it is a bit similar to that, where it's like a bit gimmicky and a bit like, oh yeah, it's so cool, but it doesn't change my world or anything like that. And just a muck around to set things up, it's like, oh my God, like do this, do that, get into this, adjust the headset, adjust the eyepieces. I don't know, it's just so annoying from that perspective. But it's really, really cool. I really had a lot of fun. And I'll this week be able to set up Half-Life Alyx. So
Nice. If you're gonna play it, I might chuck it on as well. Then.
I don't really have time to play it. This is the struggle
That's
that
the
I
problem.
have.
Yeah, I know. Same.
But I just want to see if it's working and if it just boot it up a little bit and play around with it. And then, like with my wife's dad, he'll get bored of it eventually. So he'll probably be at my house for a weekend or whatever. And I'll try to get through Alex in a month or two. But yeah, I'll give you, Mike. I know you're a big proponent of VR, but it was very freaking cool. You know, the number one thing that I was super impressed with? It was the hands in the game. Like when I'm like actually like moving my hands, I was like, wow, it's like, it really doesn't feel like there's latency.
It's crazy, and the actual
blew me away.
ability to accurately
It's a bit clunky.
get the angle right. Really?
Oh, no, the angles,
stuff that I was doing, the
and
angle is
everything.
just so perfect.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were
really
going to say, I jumped ahead. Sorry. I was guessing what you were going to say. You know, like the putting my index finger out, grabbing things like that. You know, you get used to it, but it still feels a bit like a bit of a reality breaker. But the angle of the hands and the distance and everything, that actually super blew me away. I was like, you know, very rarely I see things and I go, how do they do this? Like, this is like magic. Like, it really
it
like,
is witchcraft. It's incredible. Yeah.
Oh, and I wish I could show you the video, but maybe I can send it through. I don't have all of them, but my wife, who gets really into things, she was like she was playing it. She was getting so into it, smashing things, like everything. And then she did the roller coaster, like, you know, app or game mode, if you want to call it. And I said to, you know, her folks, I'm like, you got to get her a chair. And I like sat behind her, ready to catch her because I know what she's like. And she's on there and she's like going to the sides, like violently to the left and right. And then she fell off the chair. And then when she got out of it, she goes, I fell off the roller coaster. I'm like, you're never on the roller coaster. You're on
You don't even make it onto the roller coaster. You fell on the way to the roller coaster.
So yeah, no, look,
really good.
And I think one day, hopefully PlayStation release like a PSVR and
like a proper one, because
that works on PC. Then I'll be like, I'll get that if they do that.
So I may have, as part of when I bought LA Noire. So I bought LA Noire for $15, and then when I went to install it, it said, "Hey, there's a special you can unlock through the menu of LA Noire to get the VR case files cheaper."
Oh, okay, cool.
And they came out to $15 or $14 something, $15 that's rounded up. And I'm like, when I actually get played for Game of Some Other Year, I will have to try the VR one as well. We agreed that I'm not going to play the VR exclusively because that's not the experience that we had back in 2011.
You gotta do what you want.
But I'm going to play through the main game, and then I thought, hey, it'd be really cool to also, as part of that experience, play that in VR and actually get my PlayStation headset out. So that is the one other game I bought that I'm ashamed to say I did, but it's for a good cause.
All right, it's a big show this week, so let's get into it. So for the first big piece of news, as part of the Nintendo Direct, so the first Direct in about 18 months, we have Splatoon 3 that was announced. So it was the big, final thing in terms of the Nintendo Direct, based off the events of the final Splatfest. So like one thing that is happening with Splatoon is that, you know, from Splatoon 1 to Splatoon 2, the events of Splatoon 1, they actually changed what happened in Splatoon 2. So like I won't spoil it for those who want to like experience it for the first time. And then the events of Splatoon 2, in terms of the final Splatfest, it was Chaos versus Order, and Chaos won. So that has actually impacted the way that the game works. So the game is kind of like got almost like a chaotic feel to it, which I think is so cool that they're doing it like that. In terms of like the reveal, I thought it was really, really cool. Like, you know, there was heaps of new weapons displayed, mobility options, just designs. I must admit, when I was watching it, it did feel like it wasn't going to be Splatoon 3. Like, it was obvious, okay, this is Splatoon, but I wasn't really clear that it was going to be Splatoon 3 at the start of watching it. And then basically, just like, you know, just watching it through and going, okay, like, here it is. The other one that I should say is that it's really set in almost like a deserty theme, and very sort of like drab colors, drab, like look and feel.
So is that kind of setting? Does that exist in the other games?
No, not the way it's structured.
Okay, because when it opened up, it definitely did feel like, everyone knows it's Splatoon, but what is it? And I think that's a common thing from what I've seen people react to it. But it would still be cool, and who knows what they'll do. It would be cool for them to expand more on that single player stuff in more of an exploration in those kind of areas. That's something I know that they've done DLCs where it did expand on the single player stuff a lot more. But I just think that honestly that would actually get me more interested in trying out Splatoon 3 because the multiplayer when I tried it that weekend with you, Integot.
Yeah, when it was like free or something, right?
Yeah, for Splatoon 2. Look, it was fun. Like I can't deny that Splatoon 2 was great, and I'm sure that number 1 was as well. But the idea of spending that amount of money on a multiplayer only game is that I may not use all the time. Whereas if there's a good single player portion, and I don't know, did Splatoon 2 have a good single player stuff?
Yeah. So it's kind of weird because, like, look, like I'm the Nintendo shill on the podcast. I'll like say it up front. But for me, going through Splatoon 1 single player, which like definitely they designed it initially as a tech demo, right? Like hey, here's like a way to get your head around the controls and everything. And then, like get into the multiplayer. That's where the real game is. Like, I don't think anyone can really deny that. But having said that, I did really enjoy the single player of Splatoon 1. And then Splatoon 2, like they really amped it up even further. It was really, really sick. Like I really like it a lot.
Because with look, and the settings obviously inspired this thought, but the idea of a mode that's almost like a cross between Splatoon and Borderlands actually sounds really appealing to me. Like that would be really cool. We can jump in vehicles and go across. Like the maps wouldn't. Borderlands maps generally aren't massive. Some of the later ones are, but like they don't have to be huge maps or anything. But I just like that idea of because I love the setting of Splatoon, everything I've ever seen of it, and everything. But yeah, so whereas from my understanding, so the single player portions in past games, and I'm completely ignorant of them, have they been more, smaller affairs with more linear levels and stuff?
Oh yeah, they're all very linear levels, like the way it's always worked. I really wonder what they're going to do with it, like whether they're going to go really hard on it or whether they're going to just, kind of keep it more of the same. Like to be perfectly frank, well, actually, the Octo expansion that they had DLC for Splatoon 2 was single player DLC, and they went pretty hard in that, and that was really, really cool. So yeah, maybe they'll try to go hard in both directions. I mean, like this franchise has only been around for like 5-6 years now. It was 2015 when it came out for the Wii U, so it's pretty nuts for Nintendo because they don't really do many new IP, and then don't really stick to many new IP.
Well, it's also this because if they just stick with the multiplayer stuff mainly, now I know they've always had that single player, as you said. This to me, and this comes from not a Splatoon fan, feels like the most like iterative, like not iterative, but like we talk about other franchises being it's the same each sequel basically, when they just expand on certain stuff. Whereas Nintendo games feel like they innovate a lot more in game design. So I hope that they do actually add, and it's not just additions to the multiplayer. And again, I'm completely ignorant of Splatoon. I will 100% say that.
Don't think that that's what's going to happen. With what you said, like that is very much a mantra at the company. It's sort of like, what can you give that's different, innovative, interesting? Otherwise, it's sort of like, what's the point? And partly the reason why they keep saying that they don't want to make another F-Zero game, because it's a bit like, what can we do differently here? We don't know. But it doesn't really explain Mario Kart as a franchise. Because they kind of just
Mario
do the same
in general.
Yeah, or Mario Party. Like they really just roll those out, and honestly, a lot of the Mario sports games are very, very similar to each other. Like, so yeah, I'd almost put it in that bucket, like the Mario Kart bucket. And I think that they're going to try to run it similar in terms of the cadence. So
I think it's fine to have both, right? I think because one thing that I always not griped but mentioned is is getting over the whole Star Wars IP, getting over the whole Mario IP. It's just been done to death. It's such a cash cow for these companies that it's cool when they do different things, like Splatoon, for example. But the reality is, even within the world of Mario, they have innovated and changed the gameplay and the games.
Well, that's
and
exactly
what
what I
you
was
do
getting
within
at.
them. Yeah, and I
that's
think
exactly what I was getting at.
it's the only thing is I noticed though, like I consciously noticed I'm playing Mario and I'm like, hey, this is really cool. But truth be told, I wish it had the mechanics of the game and everything else, but not necessarily it being a Mario character, because I am still over the whole Mario thing. Apologies to anyone who loves Mario. It's just that they could have had a brand new character in it, kept exactly the same mechanics, and I think I would have in some ways enjoyed it more, because I'm also over the whole Mario's trying to run after the princess because Bowser, for whatever reasons, trying to marry her and stuff. Like, it's such a dumb story that
But it's become like
they could have done so much more with that.
But it's so tongue in cheek though these days.
Yeah.
That I actually find it.
It is, but I
And
feel
what do you want? You want like Mario has lost Luigi and he's been murdered?
No,
and-
that's what I mean. I want them
like-
to. I want them to. I don't want them anything, right? This is just my opinion. Who cares whether they do it or not? Maybe because I don't have that affinity for Mario, I would love to have seen a different character completely in a game like that. So not Mario himself, just a completely different character. And that's not, discounting the fact that there are funny moments where he does, him wearing shorts and shivering and certain things. I think are quite funny. But then there's also other elements where I'm like, man, I heard him making that sound for the last, 25 years or something. I'm sort of over that Yahoo and blah, blah, blah.
But you
kind of
barely
thing.
played those games, so I don't know how you're over it.
No, I think I played them enough. So like I played most of the Marios throughout my life. I haven't played the more recent ones like World and Land and stuff like that. And Galaxy maybe, but some of the classics I absolutely played all the classics, I think. Played Yoshi's Island, played all of those games.
I think for me though, like Mario is a vehicle for gameplay rather than something that needs to drive a crazy story. I think that criticism is very fair of Nintendo in general though. I think games like Zelda, like the Zelda series, I think you could fairly criticize them for, have they gone hard enough with the story? I probably don't think so in general.
I don't think they have. I don't even it's always the same story rehashed in Zelda as well.
But I mean,
no, not so much in Zelda. I mean,
okay, they had Ocarina of Time and stuff was a bit different. You're
no,
right.
I think I'm not saying that the stories in Zelda aren't different. They are different. I just think they could build a deeper story around a Zelda game. Like that, Breath of the Wild to me does not have a deep story. That's
No,
not the
it doesn't
point
at
of the
all.
game,
I'm like,
so-
okay, I gotta go kill some dude in a castle or something.
And in fact, Age of Calamity has a deeper story. But with Splatoon, what I love about it is it's got like a really specific lore that to me is very actually unique to Splatoon. And that includes the music, the look and feel. Like it's just one of those games that I feel like if someone did copy it, it'd just be so obvious. Similar to when games try to emulate a Fortnite style and people just look at it and go, oh, it's like Fortnite. Like, what are they doing? And
It's unique, yeah.
I wouldn't
say
touch it.
Fortnite style, and every time, and I'm definitely not a Fortnite player in any way, their style just seems like there's almost like no style to me whenever I look at it. It's weird.
Oh, really?
Like,
No,
yeah,
I think there's a definitive style, like a cartoony style that they have.
Oh yeah, but every time I look at something from Fortnite, it just feels inconsistent to me. That's just my take.
Okay, I don't think you play it enough to be able to like really tell because to me it's very consistent with the way that they roll these things out. But I'm not the hugest fan, but I played it a bit. But yeah, look, it's interesting. My view, like I love this announcement. I was hyped about it. I think I told you guys before. I hope they announce Splatoon 3. I feel like we're due for a Splatoon 3. It's 2022 is kind of to me was a bit of a bummer just because I really, like they said beforehand in the direct that it's going to be games in this half of the year. That's what they said. So yeah, maybe it would have been at the end of the year, but the fact that it's next year, so that's most likely going to be March, April, May, because that's when they've released the other games and it makes sense for that slot. But I'll be getting this day one for sure. And the biggest thing for me is I really hope that they fix at least the lobby system. Like it drives me nuts that I can't just go, hey, Swinny, Mike, join my lobby, join my party, and then we can just play. And, they add an extra person. All they need to do is exactly what Rocket League does. How Rocket League handles lobbies is perfect, and they should just copy that.
Hear ye, hear ye.
So I hope they do that. So I was really excited, but it felt like most people were a bit like, eh. It was like a bit of a flat note at the end of the direct. And then speaking of which,
Well, it was a very sorry, just on that, because you mentioned Borderlands as well, Swinny. The bus scene brought me back to Borderlands. It just, I don't know if it's a homage or
you
like
mean
a
the
little
train scene.
train, bus, the transport scene. I don't remember exactly what it was now,
Train, yeah.
but it just reminded me of the bus on Borderlands and the whole setting being in this post-apocalyptic kind of world. And it is it's a downer that, the world that it's set in that sense. It's very colorful, but it's a bit of a downer. So anyway.
Yeah, and probably another part of the direct where some people were happy and some people weren't was the announcement that Skyward Sword is going to get a remaster in the form of Skyward Sword HD.
Haha.
So I was like super amped about this, but yeah, it was like interesting. The reaction of a lot of people wasn't as happy. So
Really?
Skyward
Wow.
Sword originally released on the Wii back in 2011. One thing that you needed was the Wii Motion Plus to really make full advantage of it. They had packaged version of the Wii Motion Plus. At that stage, all the Wii motes were coming out as Wii Motion Plus. And really core to the game was that motion control. So one was sword, one was shield. And generally the enemies would have a position where they would, slice. So it'd be really obvious that, you had to slice vertically or horizontal on a certain diagonal. But it became a huge criticism for the game. And I think you'd also need to put it in the context that the Wii came out in 2006. So at that stage, it was 5 years into like a motion controls. I think most people were past motion controls at that stage. They were sort of over that gimmick. And I think, it really suffered for that. And then very bad presentation. Swinny, I think it was at an E3 where they were having connectivity issues with the Wiimote, and it basically looked like you couldn't control the motion for the game.
Huh. Dang it.
Do you remember that, Swinny?
I don't remember that specifically, but yeah, look, I'll give my thoughts when we kind of when you've covered the rest of it. So
Yeah. So they have mapped in button mapping to it. They've remastered the graphics. I was actually playing this game the other day on the Wii, and I really love it. I think it's really, really cool. But it does need like a graphical upgrade. And they also announced Skyward Sword themed Joy-Cons, which I promptly purchased, and they've sold out at most places in Australia, and I think in America they're completely sold out. And I love these Joy-Cons. I love the way that they look. But yeah, Joy-Cons are really expensive, and it's so annoying that they drift. So
Love your Joy-Cons.
So yeah, Swinny, as probably equal or bigger Zelda lover on the podcast, what were your thoughts?
look, it's great that they're bringing this game to more people.
I'm
Not
excited.
only do have a lot of people probably not played this game, but a lot of people just don't. They've either gotten rid of their Wii or they're like me, where it's packed away somewhere, and the thought of just getting out to play one game and then go and set up the motion sensor bar and all that stuff is like, I just can't be bothered.
You can play it on the Wii U as well.
That's true. But my Wii U is in the exact same situation. It's packed away with the sensor bar and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy for that. Now, when we went through our game with some other year 2011, we did not include Skyward Sword as part of the top 6, and I had it ranked as like 13 out of 20 for me. But don't let the...
Well, I had it, just for the record, I had it in the top 8.
So that's a reflection to me of the quality of the games of 2011. Not so much a slight on Skyward Sword. I do like Skyward Sword. It has some great dungeons. I think the motion controls are the best thing about the game alongside how the dungeons use them. I think the motion controls are fantastic. The problem I have with Skyward Sword in general, and it's got nothing to do with the HD, is the fact that there are so many bad design choices. Like the whole start of the game, the tutorial is drags on for so long. Fee is probably the worst side companion character that Zelda's ever had, and is so annoying.
Yeah.
And also,
Zelda has had or Link has had?
No,
Zelda
Zelda
is Zelda in this
Zelda
one?
is a series.
Zelda is a series. And the thing is, as well, is I bought a Wii for this game.
Oh wow, I didn't actually know that. I didn't know that.
So I
Damn,
bought a Wii,
son.
and so I had the Motion Plus and everything alongside that. But I remember sitting there trying to get it to look somewhat decent on my TV. I know the Wii was not a HD console, and I just struggled. This game just looked so rough for me, and that's why I'm really happy it's getting a nice coat of paint, because
Yeah.
I just wish that there was a way that you could play it with the Wii Motion Plus. I really wish there was a way.
Well, you got the Joy-Cons, which I don't
they
think will be
did
very accurate.
And that's the things. And to me, the idea of playing it with the buttons, I know some people love that idea. To me, it strips away the coolest part of the game.
Well, you played with the stick, so
Yeah,
you
but that's
angle it based on
but
angling
that's
the
nothing
stick.
compared to the Wii
I know, I
Motion
can imagine
Plus.
it's nothing, but I still think it's pretty cool. Like I never played the game back in the day, but I'm looking forward to this.
But I think it takes away what made that game special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it
Because
would.
you know, Swinny, I don't know, like this is just an odd thought that I have, and maybe it's because I just played the Oculus Quest, but I get this weird feeling like Nintendo is going to make like a VR console as their next thing post Switch. You even had Furukawa, the CEO, talking about they really want to do something innovative in terms of like the next console. I don't think they'll just do a Switch 2 or a Super Switch for the next generation. I feel like this game is the exact game you'd want to have in VR because, you've got those amazing controls and mapping to the hands and everything like that.
Well, if there's two companies that could make, VR mainstream, one is Nintendo and the other is Apple. To me, they're doing very different things. They would have very different takes on it, but they're the two companies that I think could get VR mainstream, because it is not mainstream yet. It's been around for ages, but I think they're the two ones that could do it.
But I have a feeling Apple are not going to have a mainstream.
No,
VR
not the price
headset.
that they're talking about.
So see how that goes.
So how do you think this game is going to land? Like, do you think that they're going to actually modify it? Because I agree with your criticism, Swinny. I think there's like some mechanics and design choices. As you said it perfectly. There's some design choices they've made in this game which are just so frustrating for, I think, the vast majority of people when they play it. Do you think that they're going to like actually work to remove some of that stuff? Because they do touch the games up when they touch these Zelda games.
I think they will. I think they might make it easier. Maybe my hope is that they might reduce some of the stuff that Fee does, or at least allows you to like maybe have some control over it. Because as you said, with Wind Waker, they made a lot of quality of life changes there for the HD version.
Yeah.
Just going back to the motion controls for a second.
Yeah.
Just flying in that game, I can't remember the name of the bird creature that you use, but that's such a magical experience, and that's why I think people are going to just fly around, this is just like any other game if you use it on a controller, and it just came to my head when you're talking about it. I think it's just going to be such a shame for people not to experience what that game, really
and I mean, we should say that there are motion controls. It's using the Joy-Con, but like the reality is the Joy-Cons are probably at the same level as the Wiimotes, not the Wii Motion Plus that they ended up having. So it really won't work as well as the Wii Motion Plus. What is it? A Loftwing, the bird?
Yeah, and so you got those Joy-Cons, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Why?
What do you
Can I
mean,
ask why?
I just love the way they look. Like, I just think they look incredible.
That's exactly what I was asking, because I think they look absolute trash.
Oh yeah, I know. Some people have said that, which actually surprised me. But it's actually very much like the red and blue Switch. Like, some people were just like, "This looks like the most trash Switch I've ever seen."
Actually, trash, I think, is harsh. I wouldn't say trash.
Hey, Mike, your mic's like really loud.
I mean, these.
I don't think. I just don't think they look like Zelda things to me. They kind of, I don't know. Like, to me, like, Zelda just has such a style to it, and these just feel a little tacky. Look a little tacky, but maybe they look better in person. I don't know. So.
I don't know. Yeah, it's so funny because people were like, "Why have they chosen blue?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, that's like a fully like Zelda thing." But,
I thought green was a Zelda thing.
No, that's one of the colors. But like the.
But hang on, let me
Master
ask you
Sword,
this. Let me ask you
Hylian
this
Shield.
for the record. Are you going to actually use them?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Well, yeah, I think so. Are you or are you not?
I'm 95% sure.
95% sure.
Mike, you cannot criticize people for buying
No,
things
I'm not
and
criticizing.
possibly not using them.
I'm just calling it now. I don't think he bought them to use them.
What do you think
He
I bought
bought them to collect them.
No. To be honest,
Yeah.
I don't like. I definitely collect Amiibo, but
Yeah.
I mean, you can't deny that. But outside of that, I don't really buy many things to collect.
Okay.
So, like, if I did that, I would have bought the Fire Emblem 30th anniversary set that came out recently.
Oh, look! I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I have a sneaky suspicion they're not going to come out of the box, or they might come out of the box, but they're not actually going to get used because you'll be too scared to get Joy-Con drift on them.
Yeah, and maybe I'll play them for Zelda and stuff like that, and then pack them away for non-Zelda sessions. I don't know.
Okay.
Bring them back out for Breath of the Wild 2, which is a good segue. We did also have kind of an update about Breath of the Wild 2. I must admit, I really felt like Breath of the Wild 2 was coming out this year. I think enough time has passed and everything like that, but I guess with the delays with COVID, there was Aonuma, the guy who basically is manning the helm for Zelda these days, did come out and sort of say there will be an update. What was it, Swinny? Later this year, they'll give more information about Breath of the Wild 2, or more news later this year, I think was the phrasing.
I mean, it's same, isn't it?
Well,
We'll find out more later this year, basically.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It just feels like this is not going to be a 2021 game.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Nintendo, I wouldn't put it past them to have it actually pretty far along. It's just they weren't comfortable showing what they had. That's all, And they put that statement at the start of the direct about COVID, and I really think that it has probably impacted them hugely. They're such a closed company, and we've talked in the past about the struggles with Japanese game development culture and business culture in general about being so guarded and secretive. So I think that it wouldn't surprise me if it does actually come out though. So
I feel like this kind of a game is also the kind that gets incubated and completed properly. It's not like I'm going to have a stab at Animal Crossing here where they release it early with a bunch of features and then they know, we'll just keep adding crap to it.
But that's not design.
A certain other game that we've spoken to death about. I feel like with Breath of the Wild, it's such a big game. They will release it when it's ready, kind of thing.
But I think that's a poor argument because that's the point of Animal Crossing.
I know that, but I feel like there were such core things missing in the initial release that they could have just waited a little bit longer and actually included them from launch.
But I don't think there was. I think
like
it's
core
missing
stuff
by choice, though. I don't think it's like they're building it.
No, I feel like they had it in the roadmap and then just went, screw it, we'll release it now and then we'll just add it later. It's also by choice in the sense that we'll trickle all these things that should, in theory, be in the base game. But why have it in the base game when we can? I can't think of anything right now because I haven't played it for a while. But I remember playing the game thinking, man, it's missing this and this and this. And then they added a bunch of things down the track. I'm like, yeah, that should have been there from the start. I don't know why it took them so long to put it in there. And you could tell they probably were going to do it from the start, but then they probably went, we'll just trickle it to keep players going. So, and I hate that practice. But I feel like with Breath of the Wild, it's the kind of game where that principle, you can't even apply that principle, I don't think. And I feel like they're also a company, and the developers are the kind of people that release it when it's actually done, not when they need to rely on 50 patches to get it to a workable state kind of thing. So,
no, it makes sense. Makes sense. So, are you going to be picking this up, Swinny?
Probably not because the price point, honestly. I think that charging full price.
Yeah. It's already. You can pre-purchase it. So at JB Hi-Fi, I think it's like $69. I think same as Amazon.
But I mean, what's new in the game other than it looking a little bit nicer? Like, why would I buy it again? That's my question.
Well, it's a remaster. I mean, like, to be fair, like Demon Souls is like $109. I think is the cheapest you can get it for.
Yeah, but I mean, the work done to that versus this is not a remake. To me. They haven't made it.
I don't think you know that. Like, I don't know why you're saying that because like Demon Souls is like a 1-for-1 recreation of Demon Souls, right? Like they're literally using the Demon Souls engine
Yeah,
underneath
but
the
it
hood.
looks like $1 million, whereas this just looks like it's got a coat of paint. You know, they haven't made a strong enough case to sell this for full price, in my opinion. Yet.
Sure.
They could announce that, they could show stuff later, and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But at the moment, you know, and Nintendo games don't drop in price. Like, I might as well just go bust out my Wii and play it there, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I think it looks a lot better than the Wii version, obviously. But yeah, everyone's got their own opinion on that, obviously. I think it's interesting, the whole pricing thing, because I think there's a weird thing, especially in Australia more so than America. In America, it's like $60 and probably Demon Souls is $70. So it feels like there's a lot less difference. But in Australia, we're seeing really big price differences. Like you genuinely can get most new Nintendo games for $70. And Mike, I think like PS5, it's like kind of like 100. Is like
It's Demon Souls is 110, 120.
No, I know, but I'm saying on average,
best,
like
yeah,
if you try
yeah.
to get the best deal, it's kind of like still
yeah.
probably like 100 is like the best. So kind of feels like a bigger difference to me.
Yeah.
I'll say if they figure out a way to get, and I don't think it will, but if they figure out a way to get Wii Motion Plus support for it, then that changes everything.
That's not going to happen. I can tell you that right now. Breaking news on Big Week in Gaming Podcast. That's not going to happen.
Well, they patched in GameCube controller support, so for Mario Sunshine, so
Yeah,
it's not
but
out of the question.
The Wii Mode bar thing has got a proprietary plug, so they'd need to have an adapter plug to go into the. It'd be like crazy if they did that. Especially that they've got the Joy-Cons and all that.
If there was ever one game to do it for, though, it'd be this one.
Yeah, but I think they would announce that, right? Like that's not something they'd keep secret. But yeah, I mean, you never know. The Joy-Con thing could work better than we are expecting. But I'll try that out.
That would be a game changer for me. That would make me buy it.
Yeah, look, I'll try it out, and because I'm very critical on motion controls, even with the Wii U and Wii. Like I'm not a big fan generally. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely going to get this day one. And
play it within your Joy-Cons.
Yes, exactly. I'll get them on day one as well. And I'm just really fascinated how this sits in the pocket with Zelda's 35th anniversary as well. Because it seems strange to me that they put this in here, given that it really does feel like they will have a 35th anniversary direct in the next month or two. But I guess we'll just have to keep our eyes on that space. All right, let's get into the other really big announcement in the direct, which opened the show. Xenoblade's Pyra and Mythra are going to be joining the Smash roster.
And the crowd goes wild.
No, I thought it was cool.
I know, because you two love that game. And anything that gets released, you're all over it.
No. So, so the
Mike really endearing himself to the Smash fans listening to this out there.
I'm sorry, Smash. Hey, it's a brilliant game. It's a fantastic game. I just love how the tiniest little they've added blah, and all of a sudden everyone goes crazy over it.
It's an entirely new character. That's the whole game, the characters. So it's not a small thing.
Yeah,
I know. Yet people still play Jigglypuff. So
you are like literally living up to your show title of being ignorant. It's like whenever they
I'm not ignorant because I have played the game, and I played the game with you guys, and I do get it. I acknowledge it, and I think it is. If I had played the game and I was really into the game, I'd be looking for something fresh, something new, a new character, something different, because otherwise, the game stagnates. But I still think it's funny that people will use those characters, and I can just see you guys using those characters. Actually, maybe not so much you guys, but I know some of our other friends, they'll just use their normal characters.
Oh, which is fine. But I
think almost all my main characters are DLC characters.
That's true.
So I'm exact opposite of that, Mike.
I think we were playing DLC versus DLC last night, right, Swinny?
Yep.
Yeah.
So tell us more about
and just to stand up for the Smash fans and boot you off the podcast. So like one thing is like the characters in Smash, you got to give them credit because when they add new characters, it's not just here's a coat of paint. Like they really go deep and think about the reference material and then also what they can do that's really different in Smash. To the point where, even last night I was playing as Min Min. It doesn't feel like a Smash character. It's very odd the way that they've done it, but it's awesome. So I'm really fascinated to see how they're going to go with these characters. So the Nintendo Direct opened. It wasn't immediately obvious, I guess, to most people that it was going to be Pyra. Swinny, did you just because I felt like almost straight away, it's like, oh my God, Pyra is going to be in Smash. Is that sort of how you landed on it, or was it more like later where you could see FD?
No, I didn't see it I didn't know until she said it.
Oh, really? Oh, so you didn't notice that she was on Final Destination?
No, because it's all cloudy. Like honestly, I don't like
okay.
Final Destination's design in Ultimate anyway, so I rarely see it these days.
Fair enough.
No, a lot of people, I'm honest, I just didn't know. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's cool.
That makes sense.
Cool.
I
That's
thought for
cool.
some reason, because I don't, like, upfront, I think we should be also very clear that we're not huge fans of the Xenoblade series just because we haven't played them all. I haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I've only played Definitive Edition for the opening hours of the first game, and I definitely haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles X or whatever it was on the Wii U. So everything I know about these characters essentially come from, hey, they're announced, let's find out a bit more about them. So.
Yeah.
The character looked pretty cool, though. I'll give you that.
And can I just say something? Like, so I can't say I'm a huge fan of Xenoblade, but that's not saying that I'm not into them. Like, I played a bit of both games, and it's more of a timing thing, really, for me, that they're just, like, very, like, long games. And I would love to actually get into them, and I will. But I'm not, like, a hater of that franchise. It's really interesting. Yeah, a lot of people said that they didn't pick up on it. I just felt like they would open with a Smash like character. That's kind of what they've been doing recently, and I just couldn't imagine them going back to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to make a DLC. And just as soon as you started saying Pyra is missing, I'm just like, oh shoot, like she's going to be in Smash. That's insane.
Part of it's, me being an idiot, and the other part is me seeing that Xenoblade and kind of being a little like, not paying as much attention.
Oh yeah, like tune your brain off or something.
Yeah,
like,
much.
I haven't even played the base game, so why do I care about the DLC type of thing?
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
like I've got
that makes
nothing
sense.
against Xenoblade. I'm a huge RPG fan, as we know. I just haven't.
But there's
played
no achievements for it.
I just haven't played them enough. So, but look, these characters look great. So they're, we know there's two of them, which is awesome because it's the first time we've had a character that can swap between more than one, style since Pokemon Trainer was basically added in Brawl. And
yeah,
it's, to me, like, it does feel very Zelda chic because there's...
Yes, that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, from Melee, simply because they're not as wildly different as the Pokemon Trainer
they're completely different.
characters, but... Look, I'm super pumped for this. I reckon that they look really cool. We just don't know enough about them yet. I don't think we've had a date for the Sakurai presentation yet, have we?
No, and that was the one thing that did bum me out in the presentation where they said, oh, cool, like, it's all great, and then it's, oh, by the way, this character's coming in March. And it's like, it doesn't feel like early March. It really feels like this is going to be late March when they launch this character. And I don't know. Last time when they announced it and it was like coming out like the next week or something, Sephiroth. Remember that, Swinny?
Yeah.
It was like if you beat the challenge, it was like a week or something when you could get it.
But I mean, there's been times when they've announced characters and they haven't come out for a lot longer.
Yeah, and that was horrible, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not a big fan of it being like 4 or 5 weeks, but yeah, I guess we're gonna have our fun Sakurai Direct. See how that goes. The thing that I got excited about is that means that there's going to be a Pyra, at least, amiibo. And I'm going to handle this really sensitively because, Mike's on the line. But
hey, no, I'm being good. I got a new haircut. I'm a new man.
One thing is, I don't, Swinny, you'd know the context here, but with things like Zero Suit Samus, they've made modifications to the character build over time to make it a bit more, let's just say, family friendly. And there's certain characters they haven't even included in Smash because it's not for good boys and good girls, is what Sakurai said. So, and like I said, I'm going to handle this very sensitively, but I felt like the direct was a bit like, not raunchy, but do you know what I mean by what I'm saying?
All I know is that these characters will be assets to the roster.
Okay, that's well said. I'll just move on from there. So with the amiibo, I'm excited because I'm like, I don't know if they're going to do 2 amiibo or 1 amiibo. I feel like they're going to do 2 and they won't do a joint one because it just feels like with Pokemon Trainer, they've got like 3 amiibo for Pokemon Trainer. So
like in a box that's got both of the characters in it, you mean? How they have that with Animal Crossing and stuff? They had multiple characters.
Yeah, for Ice Climbers, they've got both of the characters, but that makes sense, right? They're just
I remember that.
Kind of, you can't separate them. But with these ones, I'm not sure how they're going to handle it. They might just do Pyra because with Byleth at this stage, they only have male Byleth, which I would prefer to just get female Byleth if I could. And it doesn't seem like they're going to be doing female Byleth.
Oh, man. The life of an amiibo collector is so bloody difficult, I have to say.
So we'll do obviously a breakdown of what our thoughts about the actual character playstyles when we've seen that presentation.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe they'll shadow drop on the day of the presentation. We can actually give our impressions. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As I said, most of my characters I play these days are DLC, which is, they're kind of some of them are OP, but I like players. What can I say?
I was actually going to ask you that about the OPness, because one thing that I think
The OPness.
I swear to God, I didn't mean to say that. So one thing about the game, characters being OP in the game, one thing that I massively appreciate from what I've seen about the game and having played it as well, is it's incredible how there's such variety in fighters, yet they manage to balance it pretty damn well. You're always going to get characters that are hard to balance and stuff like that. But all in all, would you say that it's fairly well balanced?
Look,
and people can pick up a character and get really good at a particular character and still own?
It's an incredible achievement what they've managed to do with the game.
Yeah.
But there's definitely characters at certain skill levels that will definitely have an advantage, especially if we're talking like 4-player matches where people aren't always, focusing on every other character. Like Byleth, for instance. Byleth is just awesome in multi-person matches because you can jump on the edge of the stage and do like a charged bow shot and stuff like that, and often get kills and people don't know you're there.
Yeah, whereas that's Swinny style. Swinny style, sneaky,
that's totally my
camping,
style.
zoning on the side. He's a sniper.
But then I can still kick your ass one-on-one with her, so that's fine.
You were struggling with Min, but then you got your head around it within a few matches. I'm really looking forward to this. I did find it funny that ultimately people are going, "Oh, another anime swordie," but it's a fighting game. I mean, like sword characters are a huge part of it, right? So
it's another Marth clone, basically.
They're all Marth clones. They're all Marth clones.
All right, and let's get into the rest of the Direct. And I think there's a lot of things that Mike wants to cover. So the rest of the highlights. So, like, we should say that the Direct had 2 million concurrent viewers at its peak across all the different channels, which is pretty nuts when you actually think about it. That many people were tuned in, because I still think that this is not a very mainstream thing, but it's sort of getting there, right? So first up, and we're only going to go through the highlights. Obviously, there's so much to go through from a 50-minute show. First up was Fall Guys. So it was announced for the Switch, and then promptly post-Direct, Xbox also announced it for consoles. And I think it's supposed to be around the same time period. Hopefully that's going to be completely cross-platform. It'd be a really big mistake if they don't make it cross-platform. Mike, do you reckon you'll be picking this up on the Switch, or what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, probably on the Switch, but only if everyone else gets it. Otherwise, definitely not.
Yeah. I am really keen, because they said that they really struggled to get this working well on the PS4. And they had to reduce it from 100 players to 60 players. And then you look at the Switch and like online with Switch, I need to know more information. I need to know, is it cross-platform? Because if they restrict it to just Switch, I feel like it's just going to be a total mess with people and how bad the Wi-Fi is on the Switch itself. But yeah, I'll get in on it.
See what happens,
yeah, if it's a reasonable price, I'll jump on it as well. Swinny, did you have anything to add to Fall Guys?
No. Look, I'm happy for people that wanted it. It's just doesn't look like my cup of tea.
I'm going to get you to jump in voluntarily, Swinny, because I think you are not interested in the rest of it. Mario Golf. So a new Mario Golf game coming, Super Rush. First one since 3DS World Tour. And I think the thing that I got excited about was that they have a story mode. And it definitely had RPG elements. But Swinny, on this one, did you get the sense like I did that it wasn't maybe as rich as some of the GBA style story games that came out?
It looked a lot like World Tour from what I saw, which is a lot more streamlined, stripped back. Definitely not the Camelot RPG style of Mario Golf, which I don't think we'll ever get that again, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, it just doesn't. I don't think it makes sense for Nintendo to focus on that stuff. I think maybe people remember that fondly. But if you ask someone on the street, like the common casual gamer, which these games are often made for, these Mario sports games, they're not going to. They're not going to care about that stuff. Like, it looks cool. I was going to try the demo out. It says it's apparently available now.
There's a demo for it?
Sick. I don't think the demo is available now.
Oh, that's what I read in one of the articles. So
oh,
I could be
really?
wrong about that.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah,
this is probably my number one thing.
I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, you were like super keen on this, right?
Yeah. Probably out of all of the games, for some reason, this was.
Let me check about that demo.
Yeah. I love golf games for some reason. I don't like real life golf. I suck at it, and I always break my back every time I do it. But golf games for some reason I just love. Like, Golf Story was fantastic. Really, really enjoyed playing that. One of my earliest memory of a game is some old DOS golf game that I played ages ago, and I played that to death when I was like 7 or something.
So just to check, IGN states that there was a demo available after the direct. So if there isn't, then IGN got it wrong. So,
but did you check it on your Switch?
Well, no, because otherwise I would have downloaded it. So
yeah,
I mean that's a weird thing to get wrong, like to go out there and state that. But who knows? Who knows? If only I had a Switch literally next to me to check this.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I think you have a Switch right next to you, don't you, Mike?
If only I had a Switch literally right next to me.
Can you check while we're going through
No,
this?
I need to set it up.
I usually actually have my Switch
I'm
on my
about
desk.
the one that's still in my box.
I'll bloody do it, because I'm the one that said I'm not going to
Yeah,
talk
you're the
about
one who
as
said
many
it.
news.
And you can't throw IGN under the bus. It's your statement. Thank you very much.
Oh, look.
Oh, I heard some clink, clink,
So-
clinking.
I got
Mike.
it from the sources.
Yeah.
Are you going to get this day one? Sounds like you are.
No,
Like, this is the most exciting game. I'm not going to get this game.
Well, maybe that just goes to show how excited I am about the rest of the games.
Maybe you're trying to live up to your resolution.
No, I think I have to live up to my resolution. Yeah,
Right.
I'll wait till it drops in price by like $5 because it's probably all.
But it's never. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, exactly. So I have too many other things to play. But otherwise, yes, I would. I love these games.
I kind of don't really personally understand people who go, "I'm going to wait for a Nintendo first party game to drop in price." It's like.
But they do.
No,
they do drop.
Like, dude, Smash has not one single time dropped in price on the digital version.
I bought it, not the digital version, but I would wait for the physical versions. They don't go down a ton, but they absolutely do go on special.
The physical versions in general are always cheaper on day one than they are later.
It seems IGN got it wrong.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We're spreading rumors here.
Swinny got it
Hey,
wrong.
I was clear when I said it.
Swinny
I
got it
believe, like I didn't say it's 100% fact.
Sorry, Swinny, we're journalists, and you need to have two sources, and you relied on one, and you got caught out. So you are the one who's.
I'm gonna go chase down Cam Shee.
Kick off demo.
Was it Cam again?
No,
was he the one who stated it?
That bastard.
That guy.
No, it was not.
Is this going to turn into?
It was not Cam. It was not Cam.
Okay.
Okay, so you're not going to buy this, even though you... Yeah, okay.
I will get it, but look, if I didn't already have a million games to play, and I didn't have those New Year's resolutions, yes, I probably would have bought it day one. But I have too much other stuff to play, and I'll wait.
Yeah, they're pretty relaxing games, the golf games, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing about them. They're so relaxing, and there's something about the mechanics of... I don't know what it is. It's just...
It's relaxing. Enjoyable. It's relaxing.
It's very relaxing, yeah.
So next game that we had on the docket is Project Triangle Strategy. Just in line with Square Enix's division that's focusing on what they're now calling 2D HD series, which is kind of weird. It's framing.
By the way, that was a working title in brackets. And when they release it, they will go full title or something.
Yeah, but I don't know. You probably don't remember, Mike, but they had Project Octopath Traveler.
Yes,
working title.
I remember that, and they just called it Octopath.
Yeah, exactly. So if they do call this Triangle Strategy,
but Triangle Strategy is a weird name. I don't know. It's a good name because it's so weird and it doesn't
exactly.
It's bizarre and it'll catch people's attention, but it's the weirdest. Yeah,
well, it's like Ogre Tactics. Like it's not the first Japanese strategy RPG to have weird names.
Yeah, but Ogre Tactics makes sense. It's got ogres in it and it's a technical game. I get it. Triangle Strategy means nothing to me.
Strategy game.
The only thing I can think of in Triangle Strategy is in stock and share trading when you use the triangle strategy to figure out the way a piece of stock's heading.
It's pretty simplistic. Just same as Octopath, there's like 8 paths that you can go down. there's 3 different sort of feuding regions.
Oh, that's where they got it from.
Yeah.
Of course, yes, because I actually did get the demo, by the way. This one does have a demo, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, coming 2022, Tripath strategy.
Tripath strategy.
So I
got the demo. Did you get the demo?
Yeah,
I did play the demo, and I got stuck because I'm an idiot. Yeah, you know, have you played it? You know, at the very start, where after I skipped through all the dialogue because I couldn't care less, I just wanted to see what the gameplay was like. And you have to talk to everyone on that bridge part. Yeah. I talked to everyone. I don't know how to proceed to the next bit.
I'm laughing because that's such a stupid place to get stuck. I'm not blaming you. It's just like, of all places to get stuck, it's like talk to everyone kind of situation.
What was I supposed to do though? Like, hang on. So did you guys pass that part?
I'm like, you got to see the video feed. I'm like baffled right now. And this is to the level of like, why can't Metroid crawl?
Mike, I find it funny, but I haven't played the demo, so I don't know.
Okay, try the demo. But hang on. Integot, tell me, how do I get past that?
I don't even know what you're talking about. Like
the bridge. The bridge part where you finally get control of the character.
Yeah.
And the first thing you gotta do is you gotta pick up the glowy items.
Yeah. And
it's Swinny, it is literally just a single screen. You can't even like walk around too far. It's just one screen. And I talked to everyone and I'm like, what do I do next? I couldn't do anything. And I kept talking to them until it was just repeating the same line over and over again. I could not go to the next part.
Have you not played like an RPG before? Like
I have, but I got stuck. And you know what I did? I went and deleted the game because I didn't know how to progress.
What the hell? That is so odd.
Either something about that just did not click with the game design.
So what do we know?
Or there was a glitch.
So what was the solution, Scott? Do you remember?
Yeah, what was I supposed to do?
Like honestly, Swinny, it's like saying, you know, I got stuck in Super Mario 1-1-1. And you're just like, what do you mean? Where did you get stuck? I don't understand what you're talking about. How can you get stuck at
I couldn't figure out where the jump button was, basically, is what happened. What
are you talking about?
I'm just saying the equivalent of. I talked to everyone. I picked up all the items. There was nothing else going on.
I'm going to download this demo right now.
You
couldn't do anything.
In our conversation, get past whatever point Mike got stuck on in just a casual conversation about this game. So yeah, I'm excited about it. The demo is really long, like really long. There's like...
Not for me, it wasn't, because I got stuck right at the start.
I don't know how you got stuck.
This is worse than you getting lost at the beginning of Link to the Past after like in the throne room.
Right. He's like, what do I do in Link to the Past? It's like, what are you talking about?
Well, that's not fair because I quit the game when I came back. Like the conversation wasn't there anymore, and I had to figure out that you got to quit and come back. Well, now it turns out I didn't, but I didn't know. I didn't hear what the person said. It's like, what were they talking about? Man, I missed the conversation because it was 2 weeks ago or something.
I'm shook. I'm shook right now. I'm like so shocked, and my brain is like fried.
I'm downloading
play
the demo.
Play it, Swinny, and please tell me how to pass that particular part.
Okay.
So I thought you were talking about later because there are some like not tricky bits, but there's bits later where you got to. With the bridge and the way you open it and all this other kind of stuff. But I didn't understand. You were just talking about the dialogue and collecting a few things.
Hang on. I didn't get stuck. At pressing A to skip the dialogue. I managed to actually get past that part where you just keep pressing A just to skip the dialogue. I did that okay. That was fine.
You can press plus to skip the whole thing if you want.
Well, it's plus or whatever I did. I don't remember what I did. But I skipped all those.
So what you're saying
there's a lot of dialogue.
Is that Project Triangle strategy is the Dark Souls of dialogue in RPGs.
It was for me.
It's the Dark Souls
was. I got defeated.
So just to be clear, you never got into the combat?
Nah.
Okay, Integot, how was it?
Yeah, no, it's really, really cool. Like, so I have said already on the podcast that the way that they did Octopath Traveler, so they're using Unreal Engine. They're actually creating a 3D, everything's 3D in the game. And then they've got 2D sprites. They've got like awesome, volumetric lighting effects, things like that.
Really cool.
It just looks amazing. And
it looks really cool.
I've always said, I'm about to cry talking about it. If they made Final Fantasy VI in this style, that is like, I probably would get like a collector edition of that. Like that would be
a collector addiction of that.
edition. That would be my like dream if they did something like that, because I love it.
That would be phenomenal. That would be
Dear
phenomenal.
Santa.
And this is not new. I think we've already said this before, Swinny, but to me, it's almost like, and I'll try to explain this right, but you know, Nintendo 64, PlayStation, they went down the 3D route. To me, Octopath Traveler is almost like a world where the SNES continued on and they just kept on refining 2D and making it look like sicker and sicker and like really cool. It's kind of like an alternate reality where 2D still exists. And I guess, you know, we sort of have that. There's a lot of really cool 2D games now, like Cuphead and things like that. Yeah, I'm super pumped for this game. Honestly, even if it was bad, I'd probably buy it just to support, you know, I want more games like this and looking like this and this style. Having said that, I love the demo and I love the combat and I love, you know, tactical RPGs. I think I actually like them more than just turn-based RPGs that Swinny's into.
He's into all sorts, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think Swinny, you know, I don't want to talk for you. Like from a tactical RPG point of view, it's probably not your favorite subgenre of RPGs.
No, strategy RPGs, like, you know, your Final Fantasy Tactics, things like that.
Fire Emblem.
Well, Fire Emblem feels a bit different to me. Fire Emblem kind of feels almost like a mix between that and something like Advance Wars in some ways.
Yeah, very much so.
I've never really thought. I know it got more so, but I've never really thought of Fire Emblem as an RPG series. But it's,
really?
Yeah, like I guess my first Fire Emblem games were the ones on GBA and then Path of Radiance, and they always felt more like strategy games as opposed to RPG. And so it was weird. It felt different. Whereas playing, there's so many strategy RPGs that I own that I start them and it doesn't click with me. I think it's just not a style of RPG that I like. But there are games that I've played that I have enjoyed in that style. So, and who knows? I might love this, but I still need to play Octopath. So
yeah,
you still got to get past that bridge part.
I know, man. You know, Unreal Engine, those dialogue boxes look fantastic. What can I say?
yeah,
it is.
I guess you know, if you put it on a spectrum, you know, strategy and then
I'm on a spectrum.
RPGs. You know, a game like we're going to mention later, Mario Plus Rabbids, that's just like pure strategy game, like in simplistic, but good game. Really, really good, great game.
That's basically XCOM with Mario, right?
Yeah, but it's got no RPG elements at all. Like that I can even... I'm just trying to think through.
So it's like XCOM. XCOM doesn't really have RPG elements per se.
Yeah.
It's strategy.
So I get what you're saying about Fire Emblem, Swinny. Like it is like an RPG light almost. Like there is RPG elements, but it's not really... Like, there's probably some first-person shooters I can think of that have more RPG elements than Fire Emblem.
And the more modern Fire Emblem games, from what I know, have gone more in that direction, though. So.
Yeah, and I'm more familiar with them, you know, so like Three Houses and stuff like that. So there are, but it's not as heavy as some other games. Look, I'm super pumped about this game. Really, really looking forward to it. You know, whenever it comes out, I'll be picking it up. I have a physical version of Octopath, and I think I'd want to pick up a physical version of this game as well.
So talking about being pumped about games, Mike, you're pumped about Samurai Warriors 5.
Yes.
No, I'm not. I'm not pumped about it. I think it's okay. I think it looked okay. Yeah. So
why did you want to talk about it then? All right, he's speechless. No,
I'm speechless. No, so I actually look. All jokes aside, I actually thought it looked alright. I've never played any of the Samurai Warrior games.
Do you know what they are? What kind of games they are?
They look like kind of like maybe Bayonetta kind of games, but not as crazy. Maybe. No. I mean, it looked cool. Whatever I saw, I thought, hey, this is pretty cool.
You know, Dynasty Warriors.
I'd play that.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
but again, I haven't really played them enough.
All right. So it's basically the Japanese branch of Dynasty Warriors. So Dynasty Warriors is generally focused on Chinese history.
Right.
And Samurai Warriors is focused on Japanese history. And
which I like.
Then they've got the Warriors Orochi series where they kind of combine everything in the one. So, yeah,
what's the gameplay like?
So it's more similar to Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah.
Do you just control one character and it's like a button mashing
hack and slash,
beat 'em up, hack and slash,
thousands of enemies.
I'll enjoy that, I think.
Yeah. So there's already heaps of Dynasty, like there's heaps of games of that style on the Switch already. So
in general, that genre is like going through a golden era. There's so many games coming out, like a Muso style game.
I guess it works really well on handheld and in that kind of a console, I think.
It's relaxing because it's like I actually play Hyrule Warriors sometimes just late at night when I want to turn my brain off because it's like just so easy the gameplay, just like just mowing down enemies.
I'm launching Project Triangle Strategy.
Oh, exciting!
All right, let's see if you can get past that part before we finish the segment.
So the next game you wanted to talk about, Mike, was Legend of Mana.
Yes, I never played any of the other Mana games, but this one looked really cool. I love the pixel art in it and the perspective and stuff like that. So again, it's one of those games that I will not buy on launch probably, but I think it looked really cool. It looked like a proper classic sort of 90s RPG. I quite like that one, I think.
I think this one, like, you know, you're the RPG expert, Swinny, but I was like understood that this was like some people hate this game. And like not a lot of fans for it.
So a lot of people, so the Secret of Mana series or Second Densetsu, so, you know, we've talked about it before, but, you know, it's got a really weird, convoluted history, and they've remade some of the stuff recently, like Trials of Mana was Second Densetsu 3. They released that alongside the series as well on the Switch. This was the PlayStation entry, and it's a beautiful game. It has great music. It's like there's a lot to love about this game, but it's really odd. So the way, from memory, and it's been a long time since I've played it, and I didn't look it up since before the show, you actually get like artifacts that then you plant down on the map, and you kind of like, it's like you explore the world but like in a way that you've set and created. It's really strange, and I think people were just wanting something like Secret of Mana, and I think that's why it's really divisive. It's because they tried something really unique and original, and I never played it enough to really know if I liked that or not, because I probably only played a few hours of it at a friend's house or something like that. So it's really good that it's... I can't remember the last time it was released on anything.
In 1999 on PlayStation.
No, but I don't know if it got like ported to PS2 in a collection or anything. If this is the first time it's been available since the PlayStation, then that's fantastic because it gives so many more people a chance to play it. So I'm not sure if it's been re-released since.
It's so hard to follow with those Mana games because just the renaming of them and But it looks like, actually I just checked it then, Swinny. It looks like this is the first time it's been re-released.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, 99, 2000, and then 2021. It's kind of crazy, actually. I mean, that kind of just shows, because that series, they've had so many re-releases of those games. Even, I think they probably acknowledge there's a bit of heat about this game. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it's received. It didn't get received very well in Japan, which has a big influence, I think.
I think it's maybe a Banjo Nuts and Bolts situation. It's so different from the other games in the way it works. So
yeah, and it's hard to have the breathing space to go and create something like that that's different, and for people to accept it as it is. I mean, we'll touch on that in the BlizzCon thing shortly as well. Outer Wilds.
Yes. So I'm going to defer this one to Swinny for more details, but I had
I think you wanted to raise it.
Well, I did because I started playing it on console, and I thought, hey, this is an awesome concept. Other games got in the way, and it was always one of those games that I always went, man, I really want to play that game. It just seems so cool. So I think now that it's going to come to Switch, to me, that seems the perfect platform for that kind of a game. So I'm really looking forward to it. But obviously, Swinny, you played it, so you'd know more about the game.
Yeah,
itself.
and I never completed it because it's something weird. Like, it's an amazing game. It's such an experience, and it's like, to talk about why is a disservice. Like, you have to experience that game for yourself.
I didn't want to spoil anything.
But we should say that, like, I mean, this is covered in the trailer, that, like, what is it, like a 22-minute loop? Like, or like you have 22 minutes to, discover or like explore the little sector of the universe that you're in.
Mini solar system,
yeah, and then you start it again, right? Is that right, Swinny?
Yeah,
because I haven't played the game.
You start it again, and there's nothing carries over. So
what? Apart from your memory,
your memory,
your own memory,
exactly. And
seems cool.
It's cool. It's really unnerving. Like, it's a game that's just like, because you start getting towards the end of that 22 minutes, and then like things start rumbling, and then you can go out and you look at the universe and you see what's changing as it gets to the end of that. It's such a cool game, but it just it's it's really unnerving for me, which is the opposite of what some other people said about the game. They're like, "Oh, I loved sense of discovery," and I'm like, "Man, I hate it when it starts getting into that." I think it's fantastic. It's on Switch. I know that it had a few struggles performance-wise on the other consoles.
On console, yeah.
I don't know if they've ended up patching that.
Wow.
So
I hope they patch that. Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see how it goes on Switch for that. But it's that deserves a lot more eyes on it. Made the game of the year from many different websites. So fantastic. It's finally making it.
And one of those weird quirks of that year. In some ways, I feel like this game, and if they had a chance, they should have changed the name of the game, because this game 100% did get confused with Outer Worlds.
Oh, it's bad. Just bad timing everywhere.
Yeah, it was just terrible timing on both parts, I guess. But I think given that Outer Worlds was a bigger game, I think this game actually did suffer more. And I've heard so many positive things about Outer Wilds. So I'd be keen to play it. And I think I've said to you both offline that, for me, I always prefer to pick it up on the Switch as long as the game is running
update on Project Triangle Strategy. I got past that part, Mike.
What?
But do you understand where he got stuck? Because I literally have no idea what he's talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a little tutorial when it goes, this game has exploration mode, and between exploration mode you can chat to people.
Yes.
When you're done with chatting people, press the L button to end exploration.
What?
And there's an icon at the bottom of the screen that says L, end exploration, and then it moves on.
Yeah, exactly. There's something on the screen that tells you.
Maybe because I'm playing it on a Switch Lite and it's really tiny. And it's an icon for ants. I didn't see it.
Okay, so one thing actually Square Enix...
Can you add idiot to the list of
Mike.
things that I am, other than ignorant and smug and arrogant?
Mike.
And total idiot as well.
So,
yes.
Square Enix, to be fair, really did look at the feedback from Octopath Traveler. They did the exact same thing they did demo. They will reach out to you. That's how it works.
Good. I will give them that feedback. I deleted your demo because I couldn't see the L button.
No, yeah, make it clear.
It's a crap mechanic having to do
I don't
that.
think it's crap. It's just maybe not as obvious.
Okay, first of all, maybe in Japan, because this is going to sound really weird, but maybe in Japan because you write differently, it would make sense. But to me, at least, if it was like on the right trigger or something, or R1, something that indicated going forward. Not to me that first of all, that means backwards, pressing something on the left side of the controller.
When you load it up again, you'll see at the bottom there's a couple of things.
Well, I can't load it up because I deleted it.
No, I'm saying one just says L
and
end exploration.
Yeah, now, it says very clearly on the screen, constantly.
But how big is it? Is it like super tiny?
It doesn't matter. It's on the screen.
On a light? Yeah, but if I can't see it because maybe I wasn't wearing glasses at the time or something.
I don't think it's that small. I think you weren't just looking for it.
Let's move on to the next bit, which does not excite me at all. So and in the meantime, I'm going to go get my Switch, and I will try this again.
Go, Mike. As I said, Outer Wilds, as long as it's running 95% of, the console versions, I'd like to pick it up on the Switch, but we'll see how that goes. And then the other one was Animal Crossing Cross Super Mario. So we had some more details about the Super Mario update for Animal Crossing. It looks actually really cool. It makes me want to even jump into Animal Crossing again. And I think the biggest thing that my wife, who's a massive Animal Crossing fan, said was the pipe, that you're able to actually put two pipes down and you can warp in between it. That actually, even when I think about it, kind of drove me crazy trying to get around my island quick enough. So I think that's going to be a really, really cool thing.
Yeah, so there's no other mechanic of that nature at all. No. Again, I haven't played Animal Crossing since
there's no teleport in Animal Crossing New Horizon. So
then that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it looks really cute, all the items and everything like that. I was thinking, should I just trash my island and then create Mario levels out of it? Because you got all of the components. Because it looks pretty cool. And then Mike, I think you wanted to chat about these ones, right? Tales from the Borderlands.
Yeah, so Tales from the Borderlands, I'd be keen to play. I always thought the Tales games are really well suited for the Switch, just perfect in handheld mode. Can I jump to the next one? Because I got nothing else to say on that one. No More Heroes 3 looks really cool and interesting. I never played. I think I played number 2, maybe a little bit. 3 looks really cool. Very flashy trailer. And I never played Bravely Default, which is the other one. So Bravely Default 2 was announced as well. And they look pretty cool, typical kind of
like the way it
JRPG in
looks?
my eyes. Well, in my eyes, it's just like a kind of just the stereotypical JRPG. And I like those games, not in moderation, because there's quite a few of them out there. But yeah, I think this is all right. I know maybe it's polarizing, but
just want to clarify. So it wasn't announced; it's coming out next week. So it's a final release trailer for it.
Okay.
Yeah, just want to clarify that.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything new from memory.
Yeah, it looks. I really like. If it wasn't for the fact that I still haven't finished the first Bravely Default and definitely not Bravely Second, I'd be super pumped for it. But it's the same situation as Project Chronicle Strategy for me. There's just too many good games.
Yeah. I think I don't want to rehash too much what we've already said. I think I said last time, Bravely Default and Bravely Second. I love the art style on the 3DS. It has almost a 2D drawn matte background style, and then the 3D polygons over the top of it. Whereas this one, it feels like it's going too far into the 3D space, and it's almost like reminding me a bit of PlayStation, where like it's just not good enough the way it's designed. But yeah, it's a personal thing. It doesn't click with me. So, all right, let's move into the next bit of news. So we have BlizzCon. So BlizzCon 2021 highlights. Do you want to lead off the batting with Diablo 2, Swinny? Because then I'll cover Overwatch after that.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not the biggest Diablo fan on this show. That's Mike, but I'll cover some of the basics. So they finally announced the Diablo 2 Resurrected remaster of Diablo 2, which we all knew was happening. We knew that Vicarious Visions was basically merged into Blizzard, probably for that specific reason, because by all accounts, was it Team One? Was Team One working on it before, or am I just
Team One? Yeah.
Was Team One and Team Classic, which seems to be dissolved now.
So,
which by the way, I just can't emphasize this enough. Team One is literally the team that started Blizzard. So it's as if the company that was Blizzard is no more from a lineage perspective.
So Diablo 2 Resurrected is due out this year, essentially for everything. I don't think there's a single platform that it's not coming out for.
Stadia?
Well,
I don't think it's coming out to Stadia, actually.
I'm not counting. I don't count that as a standard platform these days. They never released in Australia, so screw them. And including older consoles as well. So it's touted as a remaster, and when you first see it, you're like, that's ridiculous, because they've got 3D graphics in it, and Diablo 2 was not 3D. But when they explain why they tout it as a remaster, it's very clear. They've basically layered 3D graphics over the original engine, so they've essentially done a Demon
Souls. That's cool, though.
Yeah, but see, you know what? Let's almost like we should chat offline about it, but this whole remaster, remake, all these words, they're abused so much by the industry. They don't really mean anything anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, when they said remaster and I was looking at the footage, I'm like, that's ridiculous. But it's weird, because essentially if the game, again, it's like Demon Souls, where apparently the animations and everything is still the same. It's just the visuals, and you can swap between the visuals at any time, which is always a cool thing. So if anybody wanted to just have Diablo 2, the original, to play on consoles, because obviously it's still available on PC, you've got that as well. So it will run in 4K 60 frames per second on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X, but will run at lower resolutions on older consoles. It will include all the content and classes from Lord of Destruction expansion, which is obviously expected, but still great to get confirmation. And apparently they're remaking all the cinematics. So there's a lot, like 27
They had
minutes.
cool cinematics in that one.
So
there's like half an hour of cinematics.
This is something I have a big bone to pick with them. So cross-platform progression. So in the trailer, they're like, cross-platform progression on any platform that chooses to support it.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's the first,
Stupid asterisks.
Then you go on the website for this, and they tout it as a planned feature.
Oh.
You can't put this in your announcement trailer unless you know it's confirmed.
I would have kept it out till later. Yeah,
like that is an arsehole move, because a lot of people don't know that. So
Yeah.
and there's a very good chance it will be supported by everything.
No,
but
there might be legal reasons why they have to disclaim it a bit, because I think some of the platforms, it's not until it goes gold that they confirm those things.
it's
I kind of get it. I think
super misleading.
Well, no, it's not misleading if it comes out on everything. It's misleading if it doesn't. That's where it becomes misleading.
Yeah. So I think
I think you're safe to say. No, I think you're safe to say that it will be across everything.
So
I think it's just a technicality.
I wouldn't say safe to say, but we'll see.
They've also expanded the personal inventory of your characters, and also added shared stash, which is really cool because a lot of people. I don't remember a lot of my time Diablo 2 back in the day. I played way more Diablo 3. But I think, Mike, didn't you have to essentially have a mule character to be able to transfer stuff between?
It was separate characters, yeah. And one thing that I don't think they mentioned, which would be the biggest improvement they could possibly make to this game, in my opinion, other than, of course, the visuals and all that stuff, is the ability to reset your character. Because one thing about Diablo 2 is once you went down a certain path, you were stuck down that path.
Oh, you couldn't.
So you could waste points into the wrong thing. Yeah,
okay.
you could kind of, I wouldn't say screw your character up, but you certainly couldn't maximize what the character could do. And it's kind of like Demon Souls. I haven't yet found, I found how I can change my gender and my looks and stuff in the game, but I haven't found the ability, and I don't know if it exists. And
I think you can in Demon Souls. I think you can
change your stats.
Yeah, I think you can.
Your stats.
I think you can.
I don't know where it is. If it is,
anyway.
I don't. Yeah.
Well, you can't in Dark Souls, so.
You can't, but I mean that quality of life improvement would be fantastic in a game like this.
Yeah,
so you can experiment and play and enjoy the game. You know what I mean?
When I went through the details of the website, I was looking for that kind of stuff, and I didn't see it there. If it is, then that's great.
I don't think it will be because there is really like a reskin, right?
Well, but they've done the inventory stuff, so they've done other
inventory
crossplay.
I think there's other quality of life improvements, and I think this would be the biggest quality, and not so much that you screw yourself over or anything like that. It's just cool just from the perspective of trying a different thing out. So you don't have to spend another 20 hours getting another character up to that level just to try different things out with that character. I think to me, that's the biggest thing. I want to be able to just quickly chop and change and try something different, just to experience something different without having to spend another 20 hours doing so.
So I'm super pumped for this. I remember about the reason I bounced off Diablo 2 originally was because I was enjoying it, and then I played some PvP and it put me off for some reason. It's stupid, but at some point there's little things that just bounce you off a game. So I'm looking forward to trying this out when it comes out.
Yeah, no, I think it looks amazing. I know I've been brutal on it, but the Ghosts and Goblins Resurrected or Remastered or whatever it's called.
Yes,
I think it's called Resurrected, isn't it? Which is the same as this then.
Resurrection, maybe? Let me look.
Not sure, but I've figured out why I dislike the way that looks and why I like this. The reason why I don't like that game, and I studied the trailer carefully because I was like, I really hate the animation.
Sorry, Resurrection. It is
Resurrection, so close. The reason why I hate it so much is, and I've realized that they've done 2D artwork, but they've rigged it on a 3D model. And to me, that is never how you do 2D animation. Unfortunately to me, I think you have to just animate it like frame by frame. And that's the only way it looks right to me. So if you look at like the original Diablo 2, it's all 2D and it looks amazing. Like everything, the way it moves, the animation. But yeah, with Ghosts and Goblins, that's why I realized. Whereas this, they've done the right thing, which is they obviously didn't want to do a 2D version. They've done 3D version. And, jump on Diablo's website. It's like diablo2.blizzard.com. You can actually do like a slider where you see the 2D version versus the 3D version.
Don't get the age gate wrong because it won't let you in again.
Oh, unless you get.
I just tried to force my way through, and I chose the wrong year, and then I had to literally open a new browser because I couldn't be bothered finding the cookies and stuff. And I'm like, God damn it! Anyway.
That's funny. You always seem to block yourself from these services, but yeah, I think it looks amazing. Like, and just because of a lifestyle thing with kids and stuff like that. This is the kind of game to me personally, and I think if you don't have kids or you have a lot of free time. I'd want to pick this up on PC if I could, but for me to really sink time into this, I kind of have to have it on the Switch.
Same.
And I'm going to be like fascinated to see how it runs. Because if this runs, like I said, like 95% of the other consoles, 90%, I don't care about 4K and all that stuff. This game, I could see myself sinking a lot of time in this game.
Do we know how Diablo 3 ran on Switch?
Really well. Okay. But like very different game, right? In terms of Just
Yeah, it ran well. Solid
Yeah.
30, I think.
Well,
it's
you'd
like.
assume
Yeah.
that Diablo 3 would be more processor intensive than this.
Well, I don't know, because I know with Diablo 2, when they developed it, it was a bit like there was a lot of hacking going on in the background to get things working. So, sometimes with those things, old games can actually be harder to get running in a funny way. So, it'd be really interesting. I'm hoping so much because, the team has done an amazing job with Tony Hawk. And if they're confident to put this out on the Switch, like if this is 60 on the Switch, that would be insane. Like to me, surely for me, it feels like that's the platform you'd have to play it on, given the style of game that it is. But
If it's 60 on the Switch, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It'd
But
be so cool for that.
with the cross-platform progression, that is something that I just want more people to do that, and I want that to be the standard in the industry.
Especially for these kind of games, yeah.
Yeah, but it's so frustrating. Like I would love to play Skyrim a little bit on my PC, but they just don't have that.
And then there isn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what made The Witcher so cool. When they introduced cross-platform, it was awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
They're such cool devs, CDPR.
Yeah. Hey, by the way,
Let's go hack 'em.
by the way, I am up to
Yeah, look how big it is. I can see it on your screen. It's massive.
really that you called that big.
But it
Yeah,
points
it's very-
but it pointed out in a dialogue just before.
Look, okay. Well,
I didn't see it in the dialogue, Swinny.
I didn't see it in the dialogue either, right? Okay, I see it here, and I do understand why it's not mapped to this, because this is fast forward. Makes sense. Perfect. So I am an idiot. I'm not denying the fact that I'm an idiot. I'm an absolute freaking idiot. Okay, I will now press the button. Conclude exploration. Yes. Haha, I passed it.
And just by the way, anyone who's only watching the clip version of this, we were speaking about this in the early part of the podcast.
Because I'm an idiot and I couldn't figure out how to get
Mike
past the
did
bridge.
not literally
and the demo.
understand how to pass the very first part of a game, which was very simple. I didn't even understand what he got stuck on.
Well, now we know.
Yeah, so Diablo 2 looks awesome. It sounds like we might all pick it up, actually. That might be the first game that we've actually spoken about that we'll all pick up. Overwatch 2. So I wanted to give an update on that. So one thing I'd say about Overwatch 2, I love Overwatch 1, but it was just like a time period that I was kind of felt a bit too late to the party, same as Rainbow Six Siege. But with Overwatch 2, the reception of it initially was, I'd probably say, confusion. And it was really fascinating to see the team behind Overwatch 2 like just directly address that. Like, and they were like really sad about it and disappointed. It was really fascinating and it was awesome to actually see people talk candidly about things where, they felt that if they never said that Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2 will have a joint PvP mode. So it means that if you have Overwatch 1, you can play against the player base in Overwatch 2 and PvP. Their view is if they didn't have that feature, people would have actually really received it as a very distinct sequel and, a separate game. So I thought, and I kind of agree with that statement, to be honest. We heard a lot more updates of the game itself. So basically every hero, they've refreshed the look, the design, new maps, and I think they're very explicit now about really trying to drive the view that this is a true sequel to the game. They still are retaining the unified PvP where, Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2, you can play against each other. But I still feel like that is going to cause confusion with people and what that means. And
this has probably been covered so much by other places and maybe confirmed back when this first got announced. But what happens...
What got confirmed?
What I'm about to ask.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
If new characters that are introduced in Overwatch 2 will get added over time, are those characters then made available in Overwatch 1?
I don't believe they will be.
That's just weird to me, and that's coming from someone that knows only surface level info about Overwatch. It just seems strange, but yeah.
I think it's almost just like a DLC character. It's like, if you're playing a fighting game with a DLC character, you can fight against them. Other people can pick them, but unless you buy it, you won't be able to play as that character.
But I mean, it's so much more in team balance. It's so much more important, though.
It's more integral.
So that stuff has already probably been discussed to death and confirmed. That was just a question. I wasn't sure. So.
You look, like one thing I will say about Blizzard, like they make amazing games and they almost like a victim of their own success where, look at StarCraft, like a game that I played a lot when I was a kid. When they finally released StarCraft 2, they really struggled to get the StarCraft 1 player base over to StarCraft 2. Don't you think, Mike? He's playing triangle strategy.
No, I'm trying to save it so I can continue the game offline.
So yeah, I do think that this has got something to do with the fact that Blizzard do have a weird history with sequels and things like that. Where they can't get the whole base over to the next game. Even with WoW, like people were still pushing for Classic, and they had to re-release a version of the Classic mode. So yeah, no, Overwatch 2. The other part of it is they still won't say a release date for it, but at the same time, they've said they've got a build of Overwatch 2 where they can fully play. Like fully playable, they love it, they have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, they just really want to make sure it's done. And I think really they want to make sure that all the other elements, the PvE, the story mode, the hero side missions, all those type of things are really rich. So like they can really legitimately go, hey, this is a pretty chunky sequel. The other news was Blizzard Arcade Collection, which is a bit of a weird title. It's already been released on PC, Switch, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. So it collects Lost Vikings, Blackthorn, and Rock and Roll Racing. I think I actually owned all of those games, strangely enough. It includes save states, rewind features,
Blackthorn?
filters, and
Really?
yeah, on PC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on PC I had that game. Yeah, and maybe I didn't own Rock and Roll Racing, but I played that a lot and played Lost Vikings a lot. So, are you excited about this, Swinny?
Look, any re-release of Lost Vikings makes me excited. It's a real shame that didn't include Lost Vikings 2.
Yeah, it is. It is. That was my favorite one as well. Did you ever play them, Mike?
No. I think I played Blackthorn. I remember that was that on SNES?
Yeah, and PC.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah.
But no, Vikings.
Blackthorn was really neat. I didn't get too far into it. It's a pretty punishing game if you don't know what you're doing. Rock and Roll Racing, as we said, is really fun. But yeah, Lost Vikings. The only issue I have is I think the price point's just a bit too high for it.
Yes, $30 Australian.
Yeah, well, and I put
Gun special.
That was the Xbox price. I'm assuming it's probably common price across all the platforms. But
that's probably more on Switch then. It's probably like 45. I'll just check it quickly.
Yeah, and because if it was like, oh, Lost Vikings for like $15, like I'd be willing to pick that up, but $30 is probably just a bit much. So maybe when it goes on special, and this stuff generally, these collections.
Yeah, this would definitely go on special. Yeah, it's $30 on the Switch as well.
And I like that they've got the multiple versions. They went to the extra effort. It's kind of like the Contra collections that Konami did recently in that. So you've got the PC and SNES versions or the different versions, which is great for people that are purists or want to play the exact one that they remember. That's great.
Yeah, I think that's becoming a selling point in a lot of these games, like being able to switch modes to the old mode. It's just like such a cool little marketing trick.
They did also do like it's almost like a little mini remastered version, I think, of Rock and Roll Racing. I'm not sure if they did it for all of them. So they actually put quite a bit of work into this. So yeah, well done, Blizzard. They're just not arcade games in any way.
Yeah, no, that's the weirdest title. And last thing from us, just on BlizzCon, is just around the news on Diablo 4. So they're re-including the Rogue class, and the trailer was so gruesome we couldn't even use it as B-roll.
We
don't want to get blocked.
Yeah, reading up quite a bit about this, actually, they've actually done some really cool stuff with the Rogue class. I haven't read everything that Diablo 4 is doing, but it seems like they're just expanding so much on Diablo 3 because they talk about like taking on different guild quests or something, and that somehow can help shape the way your character plays as the rogue. So I'm like, that's really, really cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to, I don't even know. We don't have a release date for this game or anything.
No, so like in an earnings call earlier, they made it clear that Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 won't release this year. So 2022 for both of them is the earliest that we know, based on what they told investors, and they don't muck around with that stuff. And it's a huge issue if you say something incorrect to investors.
And if Diablo 3 is anything to go by, Diablo 4 probably won't properly release until 2 years after the game's actually released, because they will remake it, and redo it.
Well, but just on that, so there is reporting, including from Jason Schreier, that Diablo 4 is going through a bit of development hell. So
damn it.
I'm just glad that the separation with Diablo 2 Resurrected and Diablo 4, I think that would have been a huge mistake releasing them within even a year window, I reckon. I just feel like
tied together at all, yeah.
Yeah, I just think that they can get a lot of airtime with Diablo 2. A lot of people have not played that game. You know, like people aren't as old as us. So, you know, I think there's a lot of people who will play that game for the first time and it will become their favorite Diablo. And then, you know, build that hype up for Diablo 4. So,
I wish they. Number one is the one that I actually really wanted a remake for.
I don't
But
know if they'll
hey,
ever do that. I think they
I'll
need
keep
to
waiting.
remake that, like not
Well, they had it
remaster
on. There was a PlayStation version, which was really cool, and it was
But that was
two-player
a
co-op.
different version from what I understand. Like they
I was
coded that from
basically
scratch.
this, yeah, but it was basically. I mean, mechanics were the same, classes were the same,
Yeah,
items
sure.
were the same. Like it was the same game, really. But that worked really, really well, and it was awesome to play it local couch co-op. But with Diablo 4, I think what I like is the direction they've taken it in visually. It's more real, more gritty, and it's not that number 3 was necessarily cartoony, but it wasn't that far off Torchlight in terms of the look. Like it was more of a slightly more realistic version of Torchlight in that sense. Okay, it was way more realistic than Torchlight if you really wanted to put it that way, but I still felt like it was a little cartoony in some ways, just the art style. Great art style, very, very sort of, dare I say, unique. And it's funny because you guys were talking about before about Fortnite. To me, Diablo almost had like a Fortnite-y appeal to it in the sense that it wasn't quite realistic, but it sort of had realistic looking kind of characters with funny things on them. Diablo, of course, was a lot more realistic than that, but it still had that sort of almost watercolory. I don't even know how you describe that art style. It's a specific art style that was cool. It's just that I think for a game like Diablo, realism to me is more suited.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it actually.
And overall, it seemed like BlizzCon, you know, pretty well received by everyone. I haven't really heard many people complain about it. You know, they've had a lot of gaffes in the past.
Yeah, when they tried to release the mobile Diablo, and people were like, "Give us the actual Diablo."
Yeah, and
For
that was I think that's just bad PR and the way they managed
was
that
really bad
rollout.
PR, yeah.
Because everything that people have said about that game, it's awesome. Diablo Immortals, like the mobile game that's coming out very soon, actually. And that's also interesting that they didn't mention it. As far as I understand, Swinny, they didn't mention the mobile Diablo game at all.
I did see something about it, but
But was that with BlizzCon or is that like a separate PR announcement?
I'm not sure. I just the highlights we chose are the ones that I thought were the ones we'd want to talk to more. So
I might be wrong. Look, like I kind of understood that they didn't. Oh no, it seems like they did talk about it a bit more. I'm actually looking forward to Diablo Immortal. I want to try it because I've heard really, really good things about it.
Could be good, yeah. The only thing, so you know, I'm not going to go back to that old chestnut. When I think of Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, I have pretty fond memories of those games, and I think that's because they were predominantly single player games for me.
Yeah.
Other than couch Diablo 1, and I played Diablo 2 a little bit with some friends, but not a hell of a lot. So they're predominantly just single player cool experiences, and I have pretty fond memories of them. Whereas with Diablo 3, I played that to death. Like between multiple platforms, it's gotta be at least 1,000 hours into that game. And I do not have any fond memories of it. Just the grind. When I think about Diablo, I just think grind, grind, grind. And it it's weird. It almost gives me PTSD thinking about that game in that sense. So I think it's different now. I think I can pick up Diablo 4 and just focus on, you know, going through the story once. With one of the characters, maybe twice, just try out a different character and stuff. But the whole online repetitive grindy, the whole tiered thing, the seasonal stuff, screw all of that. It's just insane. Like watching videos of what I used to do. So if I watch gameplay of people playing those things now, which is exactly what I used to do back in the day, it's nuts. Like I look at it and I go, what the hell did I spend my time on? It's insane. So we'll see how Diablo 4 goes with that. Because it's a core part of the game in that sense, you know, getting people to go back and do it over and over again is a core part of the mechanics. So
yeah, no, fair enough. All right, Swinny, over to a game that you really, really enjoyed and some DLC coming out for it.
Yeah, so this week, unfortunately timed, CrossCode announced their DLC, which everyone's been waiting for. So Deck 13 and Radical Fish Games are developers. Just before the Nintendo Direct hits, they're like, oh, we need to get this news out there that, hey, A New Home, the DLC, is actually hitting PC next week. So I'm so pumped for this. I was trying to think what game did I like more than CrossCode that I've played in like the last 3 years?
3 years. Wow.
And off the top of my head, I can't think of a game I liked more.
Damn.
No way, that good?
No,
Holy
he
moly.
loved it when he was playing.
Oh,
it, yeah.
Wow,
but the thing
cool.
is, that's also because I've probably been playing a lot more older games in the last few years as well. So I'm trying to, but I'm struggling to think off the top of my head. I can't think of a game I liked more. And yeah, so this picks up directly after the end of the main game, which they kind of hinted at when you complete the game that hey, there's stuff coming, and they give you the option of doing New Game Plus or kind of just continuing on and waiting for the content, which is pretty cool. And the story centered around a cancelled raid, which was pivotal in the events of the game. And for anyone who doesn't know, CrossCode is set in an MMO world, but it's a single player game. And that's not a new thing. Dot Hack and other stuff have kind of sought out online. They've done that stuff before, but it's just really, really great what they've done with the story and the setting in this game. And that raid is really, really important because it's hard to describe to anyone that hasn't played it, but this game has a real heart to it. Like the characters, the developers put so much love into these characters, and they've touted that this is going to continue the story of Lee, who's the main character, and I can't. They go into and other stuff that's a bit spoilery, but they've also said it's going to have the biggest dungeon in all of CrossCode. Now that's insane because the dungeons that are in the main game CrossCode are gigantic. We're talking 4 or 5 times the size of the biggest Zelda dungeon kind of sizes. Like they're massive, long.
That's almost
dungeons.
too big for me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, some people found they were long because
That's what she said.
there's so many puzzles in them and they're so tough and everything. But I loved it, and so the fact that they're touting this is like the biggest dungeon, it's really cool because there's a part in the game where you walk up to this area and there's just people hanging out. That happens throughout the game, just like people hanging out with avatars and MMO. But they're all hanging out in front of this big locked giant like door, and people are like, oh, this is future content. Like we're just all waiting here for them to release the new area. And then in the trailer, they actually show everyone waiting as the door opens. So it's really cool.
That's awesome.
And they've also expanded Rhombus Square, which is kind of like a hub area, which is really cool for the little new beach area. And the new zone is called Azure Archipelago. And so it's coming out on PC next week for about $9 US, but it's coming out. It's coming out later in the year for consoles. So it's because there's no cross-platform progression. We're mentioning that before in the other story. If there was cross-platform progression, I'd probably do that and play it on PC. But my save file is on Xbox. So,
hey, speaking of Xbox, what should I play this on Xbox because it's free on Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
Or wait for Switch.
It's on Switch.
I know it's on Switch, but it's not on special.
Is it
worth the $30? Just pay the $30 or play it for free on Xbox?
This would be great on Switch. I'm just thinking this. I don't think it'd be great on handheld because some of the menus like the fonts and stuff might be a bit small. But maybe they've done work there that I don't know.
I might not be able to see press L to continue.
Maybe they've done work there. So maybe just look it up and say, hey, is the Switch version of CrossCode good?
I'll check
it probably is great.
Because I'm willing to pay for it if it's a great game and the experience will be better on Switch. I'll pay the $30.
You will 100% get your money
for free.
You will 100% get your money's worth because it's also like there's so much content in the game. It's not a short game, but it's.
We might
fantastic.
as well try it on Xbox, right, and see if.
No, I think I will try it on Xbox, because that's my other worry. I know I will probably enjoy it. It's just that if you're saying it's also a very long game, that actually really puts me off.
And you do want to live to your motto of buying less games.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'm playing the ones that I already have.
Yeah,
so
it's a great game wherever you play.
Okay. The other question I had is just because you touched up on the DLC thing, especially when a DLC comes out so long after the game came out. I found that with a few games where you play through the whole story, you get to the end of the game, and they release a DLC by which stage you either forgot the game and the controls and what the hell you're up to, or you have to start the game all over again to get to the DLC. The issue with that is sometimes you just give up before you even get to the DLC because it takes too long. Or like the DLC somewhere in the middle of the game and you can access it sort of halfway through, so you're forced to basically start the game again. So this delayed DLC thing is a really weird one for me. I always struggle going back to a DLC. So I'll finish a game completely. Like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of of a game that I would have done recently. Like, say, for example, Cyberpunk would be a really good example. You finish Cyberpunk, everything's done. I would struggle going back into the game 6 months later to do a DLC.
Have you finished
for
that
it.
game? I don't think you've said
No,
that.
I haven't finished it yet.
Oh,
No, I haven't.
okay.
But I'm saying that as an example. There's a few games where I think you could, because it's almost a standalone experience. But even then, like, doing some of the DLCs for The Witcher, because they're bound to a certain character level, you can continue an old save file and, for all intents and purposes, hopefully remember the controls and remember all that stuff. And it can get a little complicated, especially if you play at a certain difficulty where potions are important and there's other factors like that. So I always I don't know what to do with DLCs that come out so long after the game.
Yeah,
I finished the game.
I'm the same camp as you, Mike. I find that, like, if I just simply bucketed it into two buckets, single player games and then multiplayer games, and there's a variety of how they work. I think single player games with DLC, I always struggle to go back. And I've bought DLC and I've gone, you know what, I've never actually played that DLC and I feel terrible.
Yeah.
Whereas multiplayer games, there is something about, you might pick it up every now and then anyway. So like with Smash, I don't play that every day. It's not a game that I play in a big spurt at the start and then drop. It's a game that you can keep playing over time. So a new character comes, new DLC, it makes a lot of sense. It's like, oh, cool. Like there's something new to do in the game. Because it's like, that is the game, just playing it on loop almost. But I'm the same. I find it really hard, unless it's a game I really love, like Zelda. But even then, I haven't finished the DLC in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it's like that, yeah. But what about you, Swinny? Because I know you do obviously play quite a lot of the DLCs from RPGs and stuff like that. Do you normally play it because you bought the Game of the Year edition, or do you ever go back when a DLC gets released like this?
I mean, I did it the other week with Outer Worlds.
Yeah, no, he plays DLC,
true,
but he's
did.
compelled
He
with
doesn't-
the achievos.
With the achievement, so it makes no difference. He'll do whatever it takes
has to. He has to.
get those DLCs down, just to make sure the points are
But
there.
I mean, an example where it did struggle a bit. So Borderlands 2 got a DLC released when they announced Borderlands 3, like years and years after Borderlands 2 had come out. And I haven't gone back to that. Sorry, I loaded the game up and I'm like, where the hell am I? What is my character? What skills have I got? And
Where
I
the
kind
bloody
of,
hell are you?
and I was just like, oh, but I'll come back to it later, and I've still got to go back to it. So there are times when I think, but that was an extreme circumstance. That was like 5 years or 4 years after the game came out. So that was ridiculous. But normally I'm fine with it, but I do generally tend to play games very late, so all the DLC is already there. So.
Which it almost makes you want to wait. But you can't wait for some games. So I think Dark Souls 3 is an interesting example. I finished one of the DLCs, but the second one, which I think we started together, Swinny, I never finished that one because it came out much later than when I had already gone through the entire game with my character. And I didn't want to do it a new game plus. I kind of had to start a new character, and then by the time we get to it, it's just a pain in the butt.
But we were in the middle of playing it. We just stopped.
We kind of just stopped.
So we were playing it.
So we can still play it.
All right.
Wait,
I think we need to move on.
Let's move on because I have a lot of other questions about that.
Yeah, but I just say on this CrossCode, there's a concept in media called taking out the trash. So the idea is like late on a Friday night when all the reporters are asleep, or a huge news story breaks and you've got something really bad that your company's done, you put the press release out, and because of just the way media works, there's only so many eyeballs and so much attention that you take out the trash by throwing it out there where like there's a crazy news story. And, people did this with 9/11. Like they announced things that their company did that were terrible, but they knew the one wasn't going to get covered. I feel like CrossCode and the devs behind CrossCode, they've taken out the trash of their own DLC by releasing the press release once they saw that the direct was happening. I, genuinely, apart from you, Swinny, saw no one talking about CrossCode DLC, whereas a lot of people were talking about CrossCode.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes no sense what they did.
Absolutely buried.
It makes zero sense.
Buried.
They literally took the trash out on their own game. It's so dumb.
I think that I'm not in PR. I think they could have released this after the direct and gotten much more coverage. So dropping it before, I think, was a worse decision.
So forgive my ignorance, did we already know it was coming, or was that was the announcement of it?
We knew a DLC was coming, but we didn't know what, when, really anything. So
honestly, I think they made a huge error here. And I think, given what you just said, it would have made way more sense to do a shadow drop or hey, this is coming out tomorrow. Something like that, you know what I mean? Where people would have went, whoa, look at this. Check this out. And it would have got more buzz.
I will say this is a very this is a niche game though, and the community is like it has a huge community. So it's I don't think this is the kind of thing that would have ever probably appealed to the mainstream anyway. But I agree that the way they did it, I don't think did them any favors in any way.
Yeah.
But I think that this is very much for the fans. This stuff.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, we're running long, so the next story is just around xCloud. So we've got a bit of an update around xCloud that they've actually got it working on iOS and the web, but mostly like the whole idea here is as a response to Apple's very arrogant position that they want to approve every single game that goes on xCloud individually, even though they do not approve every single movie that goes on Netflix, or they do not approve every single album that goes on Spotify. But for some reason, it's funny that, they make a lot of money with games, Apple, and they somehow don't want xCloud to be available on Apple devices. So I think very smartly, Microsoft said, F you, and we're going to figure out a way to get it on there, even if you don't want it on there. So they've actually already got it working. So very much similar to what Stadia does with running through the browser. So this is working on Chromium browsers. So that's Chrome, but also Edge, Microsoft's Edge, which is a replacement for Internet Explorer, moved to basically the same platform as Google Chrome now. So it uses Chromium. And I'm excited about this because I only have the PC version of Game Pass because I don't have an Xbox One or a Series X. So I am limited to the PC games on Game Pass, and it does piss me off sometimes when I see games are on the console and cloud. But because it's a cloud now, and I theoretically, then I would be able to use this when they release it, whenever that's going to be.
Yeah, I think this is great for everyone. Great to finally have a way to eventually play this on iOS, but not you, integot, or at least not for a while.
Yeah, well, okay. So I'm still pissed. Stuff you, Microsoft. Like, you're banned from the show. Microsoft PR in Australia. I still do not have access to the beta version of xCloud.
I can't believe.
Annoying.
Can you reapply, or is it like you're applied for it and that's done?
I think I went back and applied for it. You know how I had my Xbox account from way back in the day, like Xbox 360. I actually then applied on that account, and I still didn't get it. Because I thought it was just this account's relatively new, so maybe that's why it makes sense.
I wonder, maybe we mentioned it before, but I wonder if they look into the amount of money that account spends as well.
Yeah, or maybe just playtime even, because I don't play on those accounts that much. So, I don't know, it annoys me, because I really do want to test it. I literally got an Android device just to test it. And then I never got on to the thing.
Well, you'll get to test it when they release it. I can't remember when they're releasing the full thing. But
yeah, I don't think they've announced it because this is all coming from The Verge. So Tom Warren, I think. We don't have it in the notes, but I think it's Tom Warren from The Verge. So he's got a pretty good inside line to Microsoft. So yeah, and it looks like they want to integrate it in as part of like the whole app experience on Windows 10, which will be really interesting.
And a very quick side note is that I mentioned quite a few episodes ago about the new Xbox mobile app being a piece of crap and stripping out a lot of the features. And
which is unreal.
Yeah, apparently they've stated they're going to add a lot of those back in. So thank God for that. The fact that you couldn't even purchase a game through it, the fact that you couldn't even look up achievements through it, achievements didn't exist according to this app. So good that they're doing that work.
And our last bit of news.
So can I just quickly say something about that point? When did we originally talk about xCloud and you not being on it?
It was like last year, I think.
It was a while ago, yeah.
Because I don't check my email associated to my Xbox account all that much. Back on the 12th of December, I got an email saying, "Welcome to Project xCloud."
Yeah, no, you said that after the show. You got that.
But that was a joke. No, as in like it was a joke that I was accepted, but it actually was accepted.
Oh, okay. But I assume you'd get on because you've got like a pretty, you've spent $1 billion on there and everything like that. So.
It's funny. I totally forgot about that shit.
So Mike, you need to give you credentials to integrate them.
Yeah, and plus, we're already into the next segment. So people are going to be really confused right now.
What?
So Activision expands its Aussie studio. So there's a this is good news for the Australian gaming industry. So in Melbourne, where you boys are based and where I was from originally, Activision is going to be expanding the studio down there. This comes from the Australian Financial Review, AFR. And they're moving from 6 staff to 120 staff by the end of the year. So if you're a game dev out there or anything involving game dev, I'd be definitely looking this up and trying to get a spot here. So this comes off the back of...
do you guys want to work on Call of Duty and all sorts of other amazing IPs?
I don't know why you're saying that. I think Call of Duty is a pretty good game.
If you're a game developer, you'd want to work on Call of Duty.
I know, it's like... That's
would you though?
As if you CV.
Would you
like
want to work for like a proper corporate job where...
Okay, can I just say, Mike...
Please.
We need to have a tier list of dumb shit you say.
Like what?
That might be right up there in S tier. It's like...
Go.
You go, I'm like in the movie industry. Oh, would you want to work on the Marvel movies? Would you want to work on the next Iron
but there's
Man?
a lot of people who wouldn't want to. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of game developers who would not touch Activision and Call of Duty with a 10-foot pole. Absolutely not.
I think you're talking about the vast minority of people.
I don't know.
I think even those indies are already indies. They don't need to be qualified to be an indie. You just need to start, right?
No, but I think even within like the proper game community, I think there's going to be a whole bunch of people who just don't want to work on those kind of games.
Yeah, I think you're talking about the YouTube
like
comments.
I don't think you're talking it's funny. I say that now, and you know, I wouldn't be funny if in a couple of years now, even though I think I burnt that bridge. In a couple of years now, I go work for Activision in their Melbourne office.
I'm struggling here.
But I refuse to do it.
Am I crazy?
I would not do it out of principle. I think Activision has some really shitty principles behind their company. I think it feels like the jobs that you would have there as a developer. And this is off the back of that thing I linked you guys about what happened with BioWare and the writers, and the fact that the whole company just turned into a corporation and the fun was lost. And I think Activision and the games they pump out are the pinnacle of that corporate way of doing games. And I, for one, I'm burning that bridge right now, would never want to go work for Activision. So...
Well, I don't think you have a risk of that even being a possibility, but...
Well, no, it could have been a possibility. I think, the skill set that I have, whilst it may not be directly in the gaming industry, is very transferable into the gaming industry for a company like Activision.
Well,
but
I think
would just refuse to do it.
If you are an Australian game developer,
it's an opportunity. Yeah, that's right. It's a good opportunity. It'll look awesome on your resume.
If you are an Australian game developer, you want experience on AAA titles, you want experience in like what it's like to work with publishers and things like that.
Yep. And you have no soul.
And you don't have anything holding you back, like any
like
ethical concerns around the way that works. Then, what better company to work for?
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. No, I agree with you guys. I do agree in that sense.
I'll say it like this: if you are in Melbourne and you want to be a game dev and you have an opportunity to work on Call of Duty, and you don't out of principle, you're a fucking idiot.
Why? It's not all about the money, man. It's not all about the money when it comes to... It's not about the money. It's the biggest... Number one, your values are more important.
It's the biggest game franchise in the world. Number two...
So what?
Let me speak, man. Number two, you don't have to stay there for life. You can gain so much experience. Imagine you go work on Call of Duty, and then you go somewhere else that you're passionate about.
If you can live with yourself, yeah.
Sometimes live with yourself. You're not killing people. People aren't forced to buy Call of Duty.
No, but you're creating a game. You're creating a game that I think quite a lot of people don't see it as a positive thing in the gaming industry. So. Yes, absolutely. Objectively, I think it makes perfect sense. The money would be fantastic because you're talking about Activision. They've got a lot of money behind them. The experience would be good to work on a AAA title. So as long as ethics are not important to you, it's a fantastic opportunity.
I have the biggest smile on my face right now because I know to think that this segment was going to go in that direction.
I'll just say that.
What, you didn't think that someone who's so passionately not into Activision and the games that they make and their practices would possibly put it in that direction?
I'm super excited about this because it's building up the Australian video game industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, look, I'll give you that. I will give you that. I would have been nice if it was a different company. But it's something, and I think it's good, and I think it will help the local gaming industry, and I think it will help local developers.
Bring EA, bring Take-Two, bring as many big publishers in their studios in Australia as possible.
I think that kind of attitude is like a bourgeois attitude where Like you yourself work at a mega corp.
And I hate it. And I think
quit.
people need
no
to.
One forces, this
well,
is,
I am
okay,
quitting.
okay.
I am quitting.
This is
I
what
hope no one
pisses
listens
me
to
off
this.
so much. It's
Hang on. I am quitting. I am quitting.
Quit right now. Like what? Like
all right. Let me just message my boss.
Just as bad as like.
Hang on.
It's hypocritical. It's like I get it if you're a hippie.
No, it's not
but you're not.
It's not hypocritical. Well, of
course it's hypocritical.
It's hypocritical in the sense that
they're making games to have people have fun. Like you're not making games. You're like, figuring out a way to drain from the economy.
Which is even worse. I agree. It's even worse.
I'm saying that you're saying to people, don't go and join a studio. Like that is the worst fucking advice you could ever give.
I'm not saying don't join the studio.
You literally said that.
Well, hang on. Yes, but I agree with you that it makes perfect sense.
And then you yourself work at a company that's way worse.
As long as you aren't like me, as long as those people aren't like me, where they feel like they're wasting their life away working for a company that does things that they don't value, if that makes sense.
But you're not forced to. This is the thing. Like we're not slaves.
Well, I never said they're forced to. Again, I'll repeat it for the clarity of everyone jumping in now. I think it's a great opportunity. Money's going to be fantastic. All of that, as long as you don't have any moral issues like I do against companies like Activision that I think have a lot of shitty practices, whereby I myself would never go work for a company like that. But that's just me.
But you work at a worse company. You work at a worse company.
So what if I work at a worse company? I'm quitting that company. So what's the difference?
You wouldn't work at a place like Activision, but you work at a company that's worse than Activision.
Yes, but I'm leaving that industry
because
of what I just said.
You joined there.
Yeah, because I need the money right now. Much the same way. Yeah, but what's the difference? What's the difference? So you're telling me, but it's still. I do park the ethics myself, and I just told you people can go and do this and park their ethics if they think that the money right now is more important or the experience is more important.
You said you wouldn't.
I personally wouldn't do it moving forward.
But you did. No. You are. What do you mean?
I did in the past because moving forward, how hard is it for me to explain this? Moving forward, I will not make that kind of decision again. I will not quit this job.
Quit tomorrow.
Can I just finish? I will not quit this job and then go work for a company like Activision, is what I'm trying to say. Because I've gone through that experience where I put more importance on what I value in life than the money that it gives me. And I've learned that lesson the hard way, I think. And again, awesome opportunity. I'm not denying that. I think it's fantastic. I think it's good because it brings local jobs. And, in previous episodes, I've been tooting all about bringing local jobs in the gaming industry to Australia. I just think from an ethical perspective, there's other companies to go work for. Unfortunately, there's just not a hell of a lot of gaming companies in Australia to work for.
And that's the point.
Other than these ones.
That's the point.
And that's what it comes down to. You're just going to have to just suck it up. If you have certain values, suck it up and just work for them. Get that experience, move somewhere else.
So just to close off the details, so this news and from, it's come from the Australian Financial Review, comes on the back of what had already been known about Sledgehammer Games, essentially going on a hiring spree last year, even in the middle of lockdown. And essentially from April onwards, they're going to be running out of that big new fancy office in South Melbourne. So
I know for a fact, just like dealing with overseas companies, there's a lot of confidence in Australia and New Zealand that, like Europe and the US have, just given how we handled the pandemic. Like it's one area where they're just looking at, like, if they can invest in that space, they are.
Well, just look at Valve in New Zealand is likely probably going to start more operations there because of, I imagine, Gabe Newell and everyone. So,
well, yeah, he's based there. Yeah. They are exploring moving Valve.
I would move to New Zealand because of that. If they open something up and there are positions available, that is a company I would move there for.
I'm not even going to touch that. Given like some of the practices that Valve does, but
like what? All
right, moving into my favorite segment of the week and the final segment of today's show, the bargain bin. The first time it's ever been the final segment. So Epic Game Store, you can get Absolute Drift and Rage 2 for free. Rage 2 for free on by the 26th of Feb. Nintendo Switch, there's a bunch of sales that went live. Mike's favorite Burnout Paradise Remastered is 50% off, so it's about $20 until the 28th of Feb. Paradise Killer is $21 until the 28th of Feb. Inside, which is a fantastic game, $7.50, 28th of Feb. And Mario plus Rabbids, a game that I really, really love. I'd probably try to get the complete edition with the Donkey Kong DLC, but that's $22.20. That does go on sale a lot until the 1st of March. Wide Ocean Big Jacket. I have no idea. Is this something you added, Mike? Wide Ocean Big
Nope.
Jacket.
So I've heard really good things about it, and it's really
Okay.
cheap. So yeah.
$2.60, and Blasphemous, which is $18.75.
That is definitely good. Totally worth it.
PlayStation digital sales, 2064 read-only memories. I don't actually know that game. $6.60 or $4.95
Great
for
game,
PS
great game.
Plus subscribers. The Dwarfs, $8.25 until the 4th of March, and Tekken 7, which is perennially on sale, $7 until the 4th of March. And I'm 100% sure this is something that Mike added, which we covered last week, and we had it as the main image.
I'll need to remind people.
Yes, remind people.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mike.
I would like to remind people that Dark Souls 3 Deluxe Edition is 75% off. For $24.98, you can enjoy the game in beautiful 60 FPS. Oh my god, so much wow.
If you're playing on PlayStation 5.
If you're playing on PlayStation 5.
5.
Yeah, I don't think it's 60
PS4.
FPS on Pro. No. I had it on...
Sure?
No, I'm pretty sure it's not.
I like how you add something in. And you
No, I'm pretty sure. Look, hey, let me just double check it now, but I'm pretty sure it's not.
And yeah, so that's a great game. Obviously, I think a lot of people are like arguing whether that or Dark Souls. That's why I always hear the back and forth about which one's better.
Yep.
And you're right. There's no 60 FPS on that.
There isn't?
And then
Okay, bummer.
Swinny, handing over to you for Xbox.
Yeah, so some highlights of the Game Pass editions. So Code Vein is being added to PC Game Pass. It's available now. It's already on console. Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire Ultimate Edition is being added to console Game Pass. It's available now. Wreckfest is available on console PC Game Pass now. And Dirt 5, which I'm actually super excited to try. It's someone that's never into those games and wants a game to play on the Series X. It's available on console PC on the 25th of Feb. Some removal lowlights is Jackbox Party Pack 4 is leaving on 1st of March. And I don't know what's happened here. It's probably Deku. That's so weird. Vambrace Cold Soul, I mentioned that game before I'm playing, is leaving on the 1st of March as well.
Yeah, I just thought that was a part of the name of it because I don't even know what that game is.
It's probably it's because of Deku Deals, which
I think so.
Which is a great website if anyone wants Switch deals.
All right, we've gone long. Let's wrap up the show. As always, reach out to us on Big Week Pod on Twitter. Give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. If you follow us on Spotify, give us a follow. And if you're on Apple, give us a 5-star review. And put a comment in about Mike. What do you think of Mike?
Yeah.
we made it.
Let it
we
all
made
out.
it through this episode.
All right, for that, bye-bye.
Remind him he's an idiot.
Bye.
Laters.